Beleza, galerinha? Vamos lá então conferir o último evento do Chiboquinha, versão Extended. Será que vai ter coisa nova? Eu espero que sim, né? Poderia mostrar ali uns gameplay de alguns jogos que estão aí faz tempo anunciado, né? Ou quem sabe tem algumas novidades também, né? Pera aí, galerinha, deixa eu terminar de configurar a bagaça da live aqui e a gente troca uma ideia. O Caldo Espírito vai ter gameplay do Piratinha, com certeza. Já vamos ver o que a gente vai fazer. Mas depois que terminar a arena, né? A não ser que a gente abra outro dia pra gente fazer isso aí, tipo, mais um dia pra jogar Piratinha, né? Que sexta-feira é a arena. E aí, VG? É, eu vi a lista lá, cara. Putz. Bom, eu fiquei menos triste porque o Outer Wind eu tenho ele. Deram ele, então tá de boa. Mas eu vou perder esse Battle Chase aí e o The Message. Pô, dois joguinhos que eu queria jogar, velho. Agora é lendário? Ah, então agora você pode pegar. Vai valer a outra de 100 lá também? Deixa eu colocar aqui na playlist. Aqui. Falta quantos? 20 minutos. 20 minutinhos ainda. Deixa eu colocar aqui a tagzinha. Três. Halo Infinito. Vou colocar de tag de jogo aqui. É, amanhã piratinha já, hein? Fazer mais, tomara que lota o lobby lá de novo lá, a gente consiga fazer de boinha lá. Que nem tá sendo nas duas últimas, foi de boaça. Beleza, agora sim. César, e aí? Dura ficar olhando essa tela aí 20 minutos, né? É o que todo mundo tá meio querendo ver, né? Hellblade, porque também acho que tá na hora de mostrar mais alguma coisinha, mano. Já apresentou o jogo faz tempo já, pô, desde o anúncio do console. Será que eles vão segurar? Pô, a Ninja Theory falou que vai estar lá. O que, que ela vai mostrar? É um dos projetos dela. Que é uma das coisas que tá lá. A Ninja Theory, possivelmente ela vai mostrar algo. A Rare vai mostrar Sea of Thieves, é claro. Não creio nem que ela vai mostrar o Everwild. Parece que tá cheio dos problemas esse jogo aí, não sei nem. Bleeding Edge 2, não, acho que eles não vão fazer isso aí não. Depois do primeiro ali, vi que não dá certo não. Acho que não vai vir tão cedo, né? 2 aí na vida. O Halo eu queria que mostrasse um pouquinho mais da campanha. Chega de multiplayer. Mostrasse mais um pouquinho ali, tipo. A questão do mundo semi-aberto ou aberto, não sei como é que é ali. Tipo, como funcionaria no mapa ali. Você via, tem uma missão secundária aqui que você tem que. Entendeu? Só pra mim ter ideia como que seria o jogo. O que mais que vai ter ali que eles falaram? Obsidian, é. Não sei se ela pode mostrar algo do Avoid. Também seria interessante mostrar pelo menos um pequeno trailerzinho pra gente saber como é que tá ali o esquema do game, né? O que mais que vai estar lá também? A Double Fine. A Double Fine ela vai mostrar o Psychonauts, mas ela tem outros projetos fazendo também, né? Então, não sei o que ela vai mostrar realmente. É, fica mostrando só multiplayer, mano. Para. Ó, Alexandre aí. Nessa lorota estão dizendo que vai ser. Só nós. Ah, tá, entendi. Aí é uma boa, Claudespino. Aí é excelente, não vai ter preocupação com ninguém, né? Enchendo o saco, né? É entrar no bagulho e ter 100% de certeza que vai fazer sem ligar pro barquinho, né? Pô, aí é show de bola, né, mano? Porque se você parar pra ver, pensar no caso, quando você entra nesses negócios de história, pô, você quer aproveitar ali, entender o bagulho, prestar atenção, aí você tem que ficar preocupando com o barco, aí é foda, né, mano? Tipo, nesse ponto aí, realmente tem que ser desse jeito, né, cara? Porque senão fica os retardados lá caçando a gente o dia inteiro, né, mano? Realmente. Tem que ter algum jeito, né? Eles poderiam colocar algum jeito que você ficava neutro ali, né, cara? Não poderia te atacar algo assim, né, cara? Ou, sei lá, faz a porra do mapa privado logo. Ah, então, conhecendo a Hair, sinto muito lhe dizer, mas se prepare para repetir 5 vezes. Com certeza deve ser isso aí as conquistas. É, se for isso aí vai ajudar bastante, sinceramente vai ajudar bastante. Que aí entra ali e você vai ter certeza que vai sair dali feito o bagulho. A não ser que dê alguma merda, desconecta, sei lá. Ou não dê conta de passar, mas você vai sair dali sabendo que você vai passar. Então o Alexandre vai jogar piratinha amanhã com a gente lá, agora tá com um headset novo. Amanhã vai batalhar lá com os gringos. Vai ficar ele no barco lá junto com mais alguém lá e vai partir pra cima dos gringos lá, matando todo mundo. Amanhã tudo serviço. E aí, qual Espírito? Gostou lá do jogo do ratão? Da hora, né, mano? O Gustavo dá umas mancadas lá. Se você olhar pra trás, o Gustavo tá lá atrásão ainda, sozinho, isolado. Falei, caralho, velho, o cara é meio devagar mesmo. Não, eu tô agarrado. Aí, ó. Ele aí. Se olhar, o Gustavo tava lá atrás. O Matuto também. O Matuto não sabia quem era quem. Eu falava, revive o André. Ele revive o Gustavo. Faz isso aqui lá. Ele não sabia nem quem era quem. Falei, caralho, velho. Foi o melhor time. Tá vendo? Porque eu escolhi certinho cada um. Falei, não, o Gustavo tem que ser um dos tanques. Porque os tanques normalmente eles são mais parados. É mais pra ficar ali segurando o bagulho. Então tem que ser o Gustavo. O bicho ele é devagar. Agora imagina o Gustavo jogando dos bichinhos de acertar de longe, de long range. Vixe, não ia matar ninguém. Não ia matar ninguém e ia cair toda hora, porque ele é meio paradão. Eu tava lendo as conquistas ontem. Hoje não deu tempo de ver o bagulho da Forja ainda, mas eu tava lendo as conquistas ontem ali. É... Parece que elas são meio de boa, cara. Assim, tipo assim, na teoria. Quer ver, ó? Vamos olhar aqui enquanto começa a bagaça aí. É isso? O Tunico aqui, ó. Zero. A outra aqui que eu testei ontem pra ver se tava com a DLC. Ó, porque se você for ver, ó, vamos dizer, já tem essas de ato aqui que é só completar. Aí completa todas as missões em qualquer dificuldade. Usar 10 suprimentos nos seus aliados, que é usar a vida no seu amigo, 10 vezes. Adquirir os itens exóticos lá no sorteio. Isso aqui é a sorte, se é uma sorte uma vez já era. Reaproveite um item pela primeira vez, não sei como que é isso, talvez seja na forja. Aprimore um item na forja, fácil. Forja também fácil. Reaproveite 100 itens também, vai farmando aí na forja. Forja. Aqui começa as dificuldades, que é as mais chatas, né? Dificuldade no difícil, pesadelo e cataclismo, que é a mais difícil. Aí tem que completar uma missão, uma missão, uma missão. Aí tem que destruir os 500 objetos quebráveis, né? Que é de boa. Coletar todos os tomos, que a gente depois vai ter que ver. Isso aqui a gente pode fazer um playthrough no easy mesmo, só pra pegar os livrinhos ali. Completar uma missão com todos os heróis, então a gente pega qualquer coisa. Não na próxima, mas em uma live a gente pega e começa. A gente pega a primeira fase, ou a fase mais rápida. Tinha aquela fase que foi rapidinho, cara. Aí a gente pega essa fase aqui rapidinho e a gente vai. Cada um repete ela várias vezes, cada um vai com um personagem, ele vai trocando. Obtenha bronze. Isso aqui é no outro modo de jogo lá, que é tipo mordinha. Esse aqui não sei se vai ser tão difícil. Pelo jeito vai, porque olha lá, 0,02. Vai completar um da resistência final. Coletar os 200 distintivos de resistência, tá? Esse aqui é no outro modo. Esse aqui eu não sei o que é, resgatar o Barding, não sei o que lá. Coletar todos os tomos. Esse aqui é por fase também. Esse aqui tem que ver. Olha o sub aí. Tem que ver guia pra ver onde é que tá os tomos lá. É por fase. Vou coletar todos os tomos nessa fase, nessa fase, nessa fase. Ó, tá vendo? São conquistas mais de boinha, específica ali. Ela tem, ó, ela é rate alto, só que não é difícil. Pô, jogar o bagulho em qualquer dificuldade só pra pegar os tomos não é difícil. O pessoal tá muito preguiçoso. Essa daqui não é difícil, ó. Esse rate que tá aqui, entendeu? O pessoal é preguiçoso. Coletar todos os tomos. Aí aqui acho que já é a DLC, daqui pra baixo é a DLC. Tirei, ele falou lá que não ia atrasar, mó conversa fiada. Ah, não. Então a hora que você pagar, você volta. Chega de ser bonzinho. Você dá a mão pro cara, você quer ser camarada, os caras ficam de putaria e ainda acha que tá. Que é meme, engraçado. Tá louco, velho. Chega desses doentes, só pagando pra aguentar uns doentes desses mesmo. Aí a gente vai fazendo. Aí domingo a gente continua farmando as fases pra pegar mais coisa. E aí talvez na próxima a gente comece a pegar essas específicas aí, tipo, voltar naquela primeira missão, pegar todos os tomos. Não, velho, vocês não sabem o que o cara me faz, mano. O cara tá no grupo lá do bagulho lá do... O cara tá no grupo do canal. O cara quer fazer meme postando pornografia, mano. Vai tomar no cu, mano. Que o cara não tem nem respeito, mano. Pô, nem conhece o pessoal que tá lá. Ele acha que é grupo do recreio da escola, sei lá. Se a família dele é assim também, não sei. Aí eu dei uma chegada nele lá, ele acha que é meme, pô, é meme, mano, é meme, é meme. Que meme, mano? Você é doente, velho. Não tem respeito não, velho. Você nem conhece o pessoal que tá aqui, velho. E se alguém vê, mano, respeita, velho. Aí ele fica achando que é meme. Aí eu falei, mano, qualquer besteira que você fazer agora, você pode ter certeza, eu vou te quicar daqui. Não interessa se você esteja pagando, foda-se. Aí ele já não era membro. Aí ele veio falar, eu vou meio que atrasar pra virar membro, se quiser tirar lá, eu tiro. Já tirei. Mas no cu, velho. É doente, mano. Doente. As conquistas online do Doom? Verdade, vamos ver. 9 minutos? Será que dá tempo? Tem gente que eu não sei, velho. Tem sérios problemas mentais. E desconfiômetro, né, mano? O cara acha que é grupo do recreio lá. Acho que nunca viu uma mulher pelada na vida. Aí quando vê... Ai, ai. Eu vou falar um negócio desse. Isso. Ixi, tem um monte de secreto, esse que é o problema, hein? Mas eu não sei se é da campanha. Desbloquear todas as runas, não tenho ideia que seja isso. Atingir uma classificação de ouro na partida no multijogador. Não tenho ideia, mas pelo tanto de rede que tá ali de porcentagem, talvez não seja tão difícil. Completar um desafio de rastreado na partida multijogador. Também não parece ser difícil. Usa a promoção da expansão 3 durante a partida. Também não parece tão difícil. Joga uma partida multijogador com uma peça de armadura cultista maligno. Também não é tão difícil. Execute 10 inimigos com lança-granada no modo multijogador. De boa. Execute 10 inimigos com um espectro de boa. Consiga uma execução múltipla com demônio espectro. De boa também. Pra mim não parece a dificuldade. Pegue 20 vidas de bônus ou 20 relíquias. Modo... Não sei o que é isso aqui. Esse modo arcade é online. Esse é multijogador. Ó, use uma provocação da expansão. É só fazer a firulinha da dancinha lá. Olha que merda. Joga uma partida no modo multijogador com uma peça de armadura do Cyber Demon, demoníaca. É, eu acho que isso aqui talvez a gente consiga matar praticamente numa sessão só, hein, mano. Que é bem facinho. Não tem nada tão complexo. Pelo menos olhando por cima aqui, mas a gente vê na hora lá. Deixa eu ver, tá começar já. Oi? 7 minutos. Não, ainda não. É que ele falou pergunta pra ela, eu... Ai, ai. Será que vamos ter alguma novidade, tipo... retro voltando, mano? Eu queria que tivesse retro voltando. Então, vamos fazer ali, vamos dizer, durante o período da tarde, né? Não vou obrigar todo mundo a ficar ali até a noite, né? Se a gente não conseguir até umas 5, 6 horas ali, a gente deixa pro próximo fim de semana. Não tem pressa. Mas assim, eu acho que dá pra fazer tudo. Eu acho. Tenho quase certeza que sim. Porque tipo, você vê que é tipo conquistinha besta, que é tipo uma partidinha pela conquista ali. Que nem aquelas da roupa ali, praticamente quase todo mundo vai pegar quando terminar a partida ali. Aquelas de kill praticamente dá pra fazer, sei lá, 2 pessoas por partida, sei lá. Não sei como que é o tempo e como funciona a partida ali. E eu acho que vai ser de boa.
Vai, fica mais ou menos 1 minuto longe da câmera, volta e fala, deu certo.
Eu tenho que colocar o Doom pra baixar aqui. Até esqueci.
Mas como a gente vai tirar antes, aí a gente finge que deu certo, tá bom?
Tipo isso aí. O cara vê, ele fica deslumbrado e quer ficar fazendo bancar uma de... Ai, velho, eu não sei, velho. É muita criancice. Modo arcade offline, acabei... Ah, tá. Então é sozinho isso aí? Interessante. Ah, então isso aí é uma coisa a menos pra fazer. Conquista da dancinha, tem que fazer dancinha no Doom, mano. No Doom fazer esses negócios, mano. O que os caras tá fazendo com o Doom? Para com isso. Ainda bem que no outro aí não tem online, né? Puta que pariu. Dancinha. Devia escrever ali Doom, nome da conquista, Doom Fortnite.
Só um minutinho que agora eu vou pegar o link e mandar no WhatsApp. Peraí.
Dancing Alma do negócio. Não, pô, tem que ser o negócio da baixadinha lá, é o clássico. É o clássico, ficar baixando e levantando lá no Battlefield dos outros jogos. Isso é a dancinha. Como é que chama lá que os caras falam? É T-Bag? É T-Bag que eles falam? Sei lá. Não vai ter jogo pelo... Como assim não vai ter? T-Bag, né? Isso aí, né? Pra mim a dancinha era isso aí, velho. Matou ali, fica que nem BF lá. Baixando e se levantando ali na cabeça do... Só isso. Agora essas firulinhas aí de... Ixi. No Doom ainda? Você tá louco. Três minutos, 3 minutos. Só quero... Eu sinceramente tô bem curioso pra jogar essa campanha desse Doom novo aí, pra ver como é que é. Deve ser muito frenético. O negócio é correr do monstrinho. No corre do monstrinho deve fazer essas pirulinhas também, não faz? Com certeza, mano. Eu acho que vai ter bastante linguiça nisso aqui. Tipo, da questão de pessoal falando aí. Mas eu espero que mostre alguma coisa, né? É tipo Quake. Será, velho? Ah, mas eu acho que eles têm que mostrar alguma coisinha, né? Ficar só no blá 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 também é idiota, né, mano? Fazer um evento desse aí. Eu acho que, tipo assim, tem o blá blá blá, mas vai mostrando ali, entendeu? Tipo, a gente fez coisa, faz comparação, sei lá, sabe? Mostrar mesmo em si, não ficar só lá o cara sentado lá e falando lá merda lá. Aí é chato mesmo. Aí, sinceramente, eu não sei. Pra que fala um negócio desse? Vamos dizer, fazer um evento era mais fácil, tipo, o cara faz um vídeo lá do próprio jogo e solta no canal ali da produtora. Como diário de desenvolvimento, sei lá, alguma coisa assim, entendeu? Do que fazer um evento, tipo, chamar a galera, reunir, falar que é uma Xbox Game Showcase Extended pra ficar só os caras sentados falando abobrinha. Aí eu acho besteira. Assim, eu sei, eu espero que vai ter linguiça dos caras falando isso aqui, mas eu espero que mostre alguma coisa também, né? Vamos dizer, se chegar a Ninja Theory lá, ou melhor, a teoria ninja lá, e falar de Hellblade, mostre alguma coisa lá, mano. Mostre. Nem que seja ali um segundinho, sei lá. Um minutinho. Um minutinho. Eu vi, mano. Nossa, velho. Cara. Mano. Se eu fosse o coisa ali, era justa causa, mano. Que isso, velho. É ofender, cagar na marca, isso aí, mano. Pois é, eu não vou falar mais de aquisição, essas coisas, porque tava rolando rumor disso aí, negócio que ia ter o Kojima aí, mas deixar quieto, né? Eu vou deixar só no sonho na minha cabeça. Mas pode ser, ué, quem sabe? Porque foi o que mais ou menos que a galera falou lá. O evento anterior foi mais pra consolidar ali a Bethesda como Xbox. Então foi mais focado na Bethesda. Nesse aqui vai ser os outros estúdios e vai ter participação dos outros também. Second Party, Third Party. Então pode ser que tenha um negócio de aquisição, pode ser que tenha um negócio voltando da retro. Pode ser que tenha a segunda leva dos jogos no Game Pass aí, que já tá na hora. O raro vai aparecer também. Ai, ai, mano do céu. Você vê umas coisas que é inacreditável. Pô, mano, custa pegar um cara que é fã ali, que conhece, pelo menos, um pouco ali, pra colocar pra fazer um negócio desses. Ou pelo menos pra fazer revisão ali, mano. Me paga pra porcaria de empresa que não sabe nem o que tá fazendo, mano. É ridículo, né, cara? Como que é desperdício de dinheiro, né, cara? Pega um cara qualquer aí, mano, que é fã aí da marca aí, conhece. Não precisa ser Zé Tretinha, não. Qualquer carinha aí de baixo aí, tipo, pega lá e fala, ó, só pra você dar uma revisada aqui, tipo, sei lá. Pronto, mano, mas não. Me contrata uma empresa que deve pagar um horror pra fazer essas merda aí, mano. Tá louco? Começar! Tinha, mano. Eu acho que tinha que rodar todo mundo ali da Xbox BR inteiro, mano. É muita incompetência, mano. Muita incompetência. Não é uma empresa qualquer, mano. É Xbox, Microsoft, pô. E é o canal oficial do bagulho, velho. Por mais que venha os caras falar, mas a gente não tem grana pra isso. Pô, não tem grana pra pôr o cara fazendo no Twitter ali e postar os bagulhos certo, mano. Vai pagar, né, mano? Fica dando um monte de Xbox pra um monte de trouxa que nem liga pra marca e não tem dinheiro, tá? Nem o Caldespiro errava uma dessa, mano. Nem o Caldespiro. Os caras me traduzem o nome do estúdio. Véi do céu. Se isso não é justa causa, eu não sei mais o que é, mano.
US Canada. Rating pending to mature 17+. ESRB.org.
Só sonhando ano que vem.
Ratings read 18+.
If there is wonder, that place in our dreams, we can disappear into
Black for Blood.
a world
The biggest and most diverse games lineup in Xbox history.
Borda do mundo, mano. Os caras traduziu ao pé da letra ali, velho.
Cars race through a desert and through a Mexican town in Forza Horizon 5.
Só faltou traduzir os nomes do jogo também.
Bring me that horizon.
if we can imagine what's we can
Pô, isso aí eu sei que não vai ter nada. Não tinha nem pro trailer.
Incredible gaming experiences on console. A machine gun fires at a jeep in Far Cry 6. A rocket lifts off in Battlefield 2042. Animals fight in party animals. Bees chase a girl through a yard in Grounded. coming exclusively to Xbox. Redfall. Starfield. 27 games coming to Xbox Game Pass. Raz puts on goggles in Psychonauts 2. A Monster Wars in Back 4 Blood. Armies clash in Age of Empires 4. A Covenant elite wields an energy sword in Halo Infinite. A new generation of gaming awaits. Forza Horizon 5. Battlefield 2042. Halo Infinite. Microsoft Flight Simulator. Sea of Thieves. The Pirates.
E o narrador ele tá meio devagar aí, o vídeo já tá lá na frente, ó.
Far Cry 6. Among Us. Hades. Starfield.
Ele pulou já pro último. Será, velho? Deixa eu
A
ver.
man steps onto a stage.
Pior que não.
Hello and welcome to Xbox Game Showcase.
É, mas acho que é do
I'm your host.
audio
Paris
description.
Willis. You may also know me from Gamertag Radio and Kind of Funny. I'm excited to be here with you today. We just saw a recap of Sunday's Xbox
Será que tem outro
Showcase,
vídeo
and wow,
sem isso aí?
30 games from some of the
Deixa eu
world's
ver.
most talented developers, and 27 of those games are coming to you on Xbox
Ah, eu
Game
acho que
Pass.
parou agora.
We saw
Acho
the
que é só no
first
trailer.
in-engine footage of Starfield and learned that yes, Bethesda is bringing it to Xbox, PC, and day one on Game Pass exclusively. They also showed us
Pior que
Battlefield
tem, mano.
2042, Sea of Thieves, a Pirate's Life.
Pera aí, vamos voltar aqui pra ver rapidão. Enquanto a gente
É o local que vocês estão.
pegou o vídeo errado ainda, né?
Aquele local que você olhava deu certo, é o local. Não é porque você está tentando bater, é o local e a luminosidade.
Cadê Xbox, cara?
Você vai ter que bater em outro lugar.
Aqui, ó.
Pode usar o link mesmo que eu mandei no último.
And to hear from the
Agora
developers
sim.
behind the games that are redefining interactive entertainment. Developers like Double Fine, Playground Games, Supergiant,
Raro, rapaz.
343 Industries, and more. We also have a new accessory design program to share with you, and a couple of other cool surprises.
Cool surprises.
That's enough
Oh.
talk. Let's jump right in.
O que seria o Cool Surprises?
You can see it for yourselves. Forza Horizon 5 looks phenomenal. And here with us today, all the way from the UK, is Mike Brown from Playground Games. Mike, thanks so much for joining us.
Surpresa do...
Hey, great to be here.
Deve ser
Now,
mesmo.
Mike, Forza Horizon has taken driving fans to Colorado, France, Italy, Australia, and the UK. How did you decide on Mexico for Forza Horizon 5?
Yeah, so we knew right from the start that we wanted it to be the largest Horizon yet. But it's not far down the path from that you realize you don't want to go big if it's just going to be more of the same. So we also knew that it needed to be the most contrasting, most diverse open world we'd ever built. And then when you start to look at Mexico, it really is like the whole world in one country. It's got snowy peaks, tropical jungles, epic canyons, amazing beaches, beautiful architecture, incredible historic cities, but also modern cities as well. It really has everything. And then you add in the culture, the music, the artwork, the people, the history, and there really is no more exciting location for the Horizon Festival.
Now that we're in Mexico, what are some of the authentic elements that we can expect in the game?
Yeah, totally. So we've got the largest and most diverse world we've ever built. And as I mentioned just a moment ago, something that really excited us about Mexico is the culture. So we've worked with creatives from all across Mexico. We've had Mexican artists produce beautiful mural artwork that you'll find on the walls.
Olha os coletáveis do jogo que a gente vai
We've
ter que
worked
achar aí,
with
ó.
Mexican music acts to produce original
pode
compositions
escrever,
for the
já.
game. We've worked with Mexican scriptwriters and actors so that all of those Mexican voices you hear in the game will sound really authentic. And perhaps not as obvious, but the other thing that is super authentic is all of our light data and skies. So we had a team out in Mexico with our 12K HDR sky capture rig. We captured more than 400 hours of sky data, and then we
Cara gravando
recreate that in game.
o céu
So
lá
all of the
do
light, the
México
shadows, the
para
color information,
reproduzir
all
no
of it is
game,
recreated in game based on
gravando
real
em
light data
4K,
captured from
não sei o que lá.
Mexico. So everything you're seeing there is just has that real authenticity, that feeling of reality.
Now, we got a peek at Event Lab. Now, what can you tell us about that?
Yeah, so Event Lab is a really exciting new suite of tools that will allow people in the community to create whatever they can imagine, really. If we look at the video right now, all of this that we see has been built using that Event Lab tool set. The bowling pins that have been placed, so someone's gone along, they've placed those, and then they've created rules that touch on them as well. So as we see, every time they're hitting them, a rule has been set up such that it gives
eu
players
acho que é só
points.
chegar lá e
clip,
acho que deve aparecer o botão para você olhar, que nem fez ali, entendeu?
Well, and all of that is adding into a
Você para
collective
o carro
team score. The rules could have easily been set up so that it wasn't a team score, that it was competitive. All of that creative freedom is open to players. It's as a game designer, I think it's the feature that I'm most excited about in Forza Horizon 5.
And I would say as a gamer, it's a feature I'm definitely excited about because this really is going to open up some unique features between me and my friends. Now, with the power of the Xbox Series X and the S, what are some of the new technical features that we can expect?
So in Forza Vista, we're really able to turn up everything, ramp everything on, turn on ray tracing, and we have the cars looking more realistic than they ever have before, unparalleled detail. But that detail, it does apply to the rest of the world as well. During the Xbox E3 showcase the other day, I mentioned we'd modeled the detail on everything, right down to the individual needles on the Choya cactus. That was just the plants that happened to be closest to the camera
Vai
at
ter
that
os
point.
pinatinhos também,
That level of detail is applied
Coletar o
to everything
pinatinho.
that you see. And thanks to the power of the Xbox Series consoles, it's not just things that are right in front of the camera as well. We've really been able to push out all of the
é louco,
LODs and the draw distance
parece
and everything so that everything in the scene
cenário de
is
CG
full
ali,
of
mano.
that detail. And
Se
then,
o Fable
as I
for
mentioned
nessa
earlier,
qualidade
captures
aí,
light
vai
data from
ser
Mexico, so you get this realistic
de
lighting,
arrebentar, mano.
shadows, AO, all of it comes together to create a scene that just looks real.
Now, Mike, when can the world
nem
expect
parece
to
que-
play Forza Horizon 5?
Sure. So we're
Sim,
launching
o
this
reflexo são
holiday
lindo, né, mano?
on the Xbox Series consoles, the Xbox One consoles. We're on PC, on both the Windows 10 Store and Steam.
Eu fico
Of course,
imaginando
we're in
como é
Game
que vai
Pass
ser
and
o
Game Pass
Fable,
Ultimate.
cara. Se eles fazerem essa
And
qualidade
you can
assim
play
de
us on your Android
detalhamento ali
device with
de,
Xbox Cloud
vamos dizer, de
Gaming.
cenário, as coisas
And
ali.
players who purchase the premium
O
edition,
negócio vai ser
or if
foda,
they're a Game
velho.
Pass subscriber and get the premium add-ons bundle, you'll get early access as well. So you'll be able to play a little bit earlier than everybody else.
Now, Mike,
Parece que
this
quem
is a huge moment for
quem é
you and the team,
Ultimate vai
but this
ter
doesn't
acesso a
mean
algumas
to you.
DLC do Forza.
Yeah, well, for me personally, I mean, I've been working on the Forza franchise for a really, really long time, but this is my first game as creative director. So in this period over the last few days and week or so, as people are seeing it for the first time, for me, it's probably been one of the most exciting experiences of my life. It's been absolutely incredible.
Again, Mike, thank you so much for being here.
Vamos ver, né?
Thank you so much for having me. It's
De
been a pleasure.
capacidade gráfica é
Later in the
lindão.
show, we'll be hearing from the
Agora tem que ver
developers
se,
behind
tipo,
games like Age of Empires
na questão de
4,
batalha, as
Shredders,
coisas ali,
and
eles se saem bem
Grounded.
nessa engine
But
aí, né?
first, the team at Ninja Theory has something to share with you. Here's Tamim, Chief Creative Ninja, to explain
Não,
what
acho que
they've been
Fable
hard
não.
at work
Fable-
on for Hellblade 2.
Fable deve ter que nem o Outer World ali, não
Hello
tem
everyone,
nada.
and welcome to our brand spanking new Ninja
Olha lá,
house
Ninja
in
Theory
Cambridge.
agora, vamos ver.
I wanted to give you an update on the work so far for Senua's Saga
Olha lá,
Hellblade 2.
Hellblade.
What we're doing right now is building a good chunky slice of the game before we then move into full production to build out the rest. Hellblade was
no,
very
Rainbow
special
Six.
for us, and we didn't want to do a straight sequel. We wanted to do something extra special, and so we're making our lives as difficult as possible in that pursuit. The game is set in Iceland, 9th century Iceland, so we've been sending out art and audio teams out there, doing photography, photogrammetry, and combining it with satellite data to recreate large swathes of the landscape. On the character front, we're building real costumes, scanning them in. We're collaborating with Epic Games to bring you next generation digital characters. On the combat front, we want it to be extra real
Mostra o
and
jogo, seu
brutal.
puto.
And so Melina, our main actress, has been training for 2 years, and all of our animators have undergone combat training. And so what you're going to see here is
mostrar,
not
eu
a
acho.
trailer, it's not a gameplay reveal, but rather a montage of the kind of work we've been
Não é
up to.
gameplay, não é
Hope you
CG,
like
porque é só uma montagem. Bom. É só mostrando um pouco da engine ali, velho. Vamos ver se vai aparecer um poderio da hora. Hein?
Will you follow me on this journey? By sea, by land, and dreams, through the valleys of despair, over the mountains of rage, to the depth of fear in my mind. You might see me as weak, but I will show you what lies behind my eyes. With our swords, we will forge new stories to strike the gods that haunt us.
O Projeto Mara, vamos ver se ele fala depois disso. Ele falou que ia dar um update dos jogos e dos projetos dela, né?
And break their siege of our minds. They may see them as gods, but we will show them what lies behind our eyes.
Esse aí também tá parecendo que vai arrebentar de gráfico, né, mano? Esse aí também vai ser outro nível. E lá vem os controlinhos com as corzinhas diferentinhas. Tá demorando. Olha lá, pode escrever o nomezinho. Pena que não tem no Brasil, seria da hora comprar um controlinho desse modificado. Se fosse com preço bom, né?
Xbox Design Lab is Naveen Kumar. Naveen, thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks, Paris.
So, what is Xbox Design Lab?
Design Lab is a controller customization service on Xbox.com where you can choose nearly any color combination you want for your controller and really make it yours. You can design a controller based off your favorite video game character, your favorite sports team, or whatever inspires you. And you can think of Design Lab as your own personal design
Tá
studio.
fazendo um controle sonistinho azulzinho,
Originally
pô.
launched Design Lab 5 years ago and have since sold millions of controllers to fans around the world. But then we had to take a pause as we brought up our latest generation of Xbox hardware. But now we're back offering customization on the latest generation Xbox wireless controller.
Now, we have so many awesome controllers here right now. Can you kind of talk a little bit about them?
Yeah, well, right off the bat, you can see there's tons of color options to
Manda
choose
desse aí
from.
pra
For
mim.
most of the parts on the
Tô
controller,
precisando.
you can choose among 18 different colors for all the different
É,
pieces
pois
on
é,
the
se fosse o mesmo
exterior.
preço ia ser da
3
hora.
of those colors are brand new to Design Lab. We have Shock Blue, Pulse Red, and my personal favorite, the Electric Volt color. Most of the colors include post-consumer recycled resins in them. So there's a portion of things that are ground up, like automotive headlights, recycled water bottle jugs, things that make the controller more eco-friendly. We also have new button options for the ABXY button set and the View menu share, including a really cool button option for ABXY that's a
Nossa, ali
throwback
fica
to the
parecendo um
original
controle de
Xbox
Super
360
Nintendo lá,
controller. So you
daquele
gotta check
jeito
that
ali.
out. And yeah, this is just the beginning. We're excited to introduce more customization options over time.
Now, 2 of these controllers were inspired by games. Can you talk about that?
Yeah, so there's a blue and green and purple one that's inspired by Psychonauts 2. We just love the key art for that one, so we work with our partners to develop a controller to help bring that to life. And there's also one that's inspired by Grounded and the aphid character from that game. We had a lot of fun in designing that as well, as the controller kind of looks like an aphid if you look at it from the right angles.
Now, I created my own controller. I'm going to pick it up now. I'm a huge Los Angeles Lakers fan. World champion Los Angeles Lakers, and my design was inspired by that. So I went with the yellow on the front, I went with the purple on the back. I designed the buttons kind of with the black accent along with the shoulders and the triggers. But I also did an inscription on it, and my inscription says, "Ka can't cook." And that is inspired by my good friend, Khalif Adams. He does a fantastic show called Spawn on Me, but he's a terrible cook. So I want to make sure that every time I pick up a controller to play on Xbox, I'm reminded how terrible of a cook he is and to avoid it at all costs. But enough of terrible cooking. Let's talk about something that you designed.
Yeah, I designed this controller right in front of me here. Again, on my favorite color, this electric volt. I just love the way that the midnight blue accents pop against it, the dark ABXY colors. And this one's inspired by a pair of sneakers I have at home, so I had to make a controller based off that.
That's awesome. Now, one
Se
last
escolher, eu
thing.
pegava aquele
When can
pretinho
fans
ali.
expect to start
Só
designing their
isso.
own Xbox controllers?
They can start today by visiting
Que nome eu colocaria?
xbox Design Lab.
Desaproveitador, é verdade. Toda vez que eu pegava o controle, eu vou colocar, vai desaproveitar? Desse jeito, essa frase. Vamos desaproveitar.
That is fantastic. Naveen, thank you so much for being here.
Thanks, Paris.
Later in the show, World's Edge will give us a deeper look.
Ah, eu só
at
quero
Age
saber
of
se vai ser pra
Empires
Xbox essa porra aí.
But first, Tim Schafer is giving us a closer
Olha lá o
look
Tim Schafer.
at Psychonauts 2.
Hi everybody, I'm Tim Schafer from Double Fine Productions, here today to take a deeper look into Psychonauts 2. Psychonauts 2 is an action-adventure game starring Rasputin Aquato, a powerful young psychic, also a trained acrobat, who ran away from his circus home to join the Psychonauts and expand and explore his psychic abilities. One of Raz's most important psychic abilities is that of astral projection, which allows him to project his psyche into someone else's
colocar corre do
mind and see
monstrinho.
their mental landscape made real. He can help them wrestle with their inner demons and fight their actual nightmares in person. Which means that the levels in the game are actually brains. And Psychonauts 2 has even more brains than the first game. One of the first brains you'll get to visit is that of Caligosto Lobato. Now, Dr. Lobato was actually a villain in the first game, but after Raz fought him, they kind of became friends. He actually has a piece of information that Raz wants, which is who kidnapped Truman Zanato. And Dr. Lobato wants to tell you, but he can't, because of something going on deep in his unconscious mind. So Raz has to travel, along with Sasha and Mia and Coach Oleander, into his mind and try to extract that information. And there's a lot of forces at work inside Lobato's mind, maybe put there by someone else, who are trying to stop you, including some of the enemies that you might recognize from the first Psychonauts game, including the censors, entities designed to stamp out thoughts that don't belong in someone's mind, including Raz, who doesn't belong here. But you also see a lot of new enemies, such as doubts and regrets. Lobato's mind is plagued with doubts and regrets, and they're very dangerous for Raz. Did I mention there's a lot of teeth?
Esse jogo parece que vai ser legalzinho demais, cara.
He's an amateur dentist.
Psychonauts
He
aí.
doesn't know a lot about teeth, but he really, really likes them. Luckily, to fight all these enemies, Raz will have his psychic powers, including his powerful psychic punch, where he has these hands that extend psychically from his body into a powerful melee combo. He also has his psychic blast, where he can shoot a powerful energy beam out of his brain. Raz also has the ability of pyrokinesis. It's always handy to be able to burn things with your mind. And levitation. Raz can use his own thoughts.
Então, depende do que, como é que vai estar na época ali, velho. Porque agora tem essa do Mad Max, cara.
So with these
Mad
new powers,
Max.
Raz can
Max
fight all
Payne.
these new enemies and hopefully find out who kidnapped
É, hoje que hoje não aparece.
Now, while
Hoje
Truman
é
is
certeza.
kidnapped, the person running the Psychonauts is Hollis Forsyth, the second
Se
head
tipo
of the
tiver de boa na época ali,
Hollis is also
aí
head
eu
of the
até
intern program,
jogo
which
ele.
is what Raz has joined now
Também
that
depende das
he's become
conquistas,
part
né?
of
Se não for muito
Psychonauts.
complicado.
And he is invited into Hollis's
É,
brain
esse jogo tá me
for
chamando a atenção.
instruction.
Mas eu queria ter
Hollis
jogado
is
um, não joguei
a
um,
new
mano.
psychic ability called mental connection, where you can see two thoughts in someone's mind and connect them, sometimes creating new thoughts, making new things happen. While Raz is training in mental connection inside of Hollis's mental classroom, he experiments a little too far and accidentally, maybe slightly on purpose, creates a lot of interesting gambling inside of Hollis's mind because he wants to go on the mission to the Lady Luctopus Casino. Unfortunately, this connection leads to more connections, and eventually the whole thing gets out of Raz's control, and Hollis gets way too interested in gambling. And Raz has to go back into her mind, where he finds out that her memories of medical school, and where she studied neurology, have been corrupted by this gambling interest, and it becomes a casino hospital. And Raz has to actually go in there and engage with all these gambling machines in order to
Qualquer
shut
coisa
it
eu
down
jogo
and
um no
return
PlayStation que tem
Hollis's mind back to
troféu,
normal.
já que no Xbox não
She's
tem
gonna
essa
be-
merda, né?
She's gonna be really mad.
Aí eu jogo
Inside
dois
Hollis's
depois.
mind, you'll see bigger, tougher sensors that have turned into bouncers inside the casino, and also a new enemy called Bad Idea. Where Bad Ideas spawn actual nasty-looking light bulbs over their head that become dangerously explosive and blow up in Raz's face. Now, headquarters. One of the things that happens in Psychonauts 2 that's most exciting to Raz is that he gets to visit the headquarters of the Psychonauts themselves, which is called the Mother Lobe. This is the center for all Psychonauts activity, and Raz gets to see his old friends Sasha and Mia, who are
No
counselors
Play,
at
tem dois
summer
grupos
camp
já pra
in the
fazer
first
ali.
game. He now gets to see where they work. He gets
Eu
to see
entrei em
their
dois
offices,
grupos lá.
he gets to see their labs, he gets to see their
Tô
coworkers,
esperando meu jogo
other
chegar.
agents in the field, but also he gets to see the admin and maintenance staff as they go about their business and hang out in the cafeteria, and sort of the everyday happenings of what appears to be normal in the Psychonauts world. There are a lot of little hidden pathways and treasures around the base that he can find.
Vai tá uma bagunça lá, velho. Tem um monte de gente lá e
things that you might recognize from the first
tá praticamente cada por si.
There's a lot of characters to meet, a lot of fun things to discover, a lot of secrets about the Psychonauts themselves, and the lore of the founding of the Psychonauts, including the Psychic Six, who were seen on stumps around the campfire in the first game, but now we get to go much deeper into the story of how they played a part in the founding of the Psychonauts.
Eu não joguei nenhum
how they were brought
Clank,
together and recruited by
mas
Ford
vamos
Proler
ver,
and turned into this amazing
o gênero é parecido, né?
espionage force. One of the things that was so important about the first game was exploring this natural environment around the summer camp, all the little hidden paths and caves.
O Xbox só falta fazer o level.
Só
falta fazer a parte que é sozinho ali, que é a campanha. Aí faz o level. No PlayStation posso fazer tudo. Eu vou ver se eu começo a campanha dele lá. Eu vou fazer a campanha meio correndo pra liberar as fases e fazer o bagulho. Aí eu vou lá pra fazer as online e depois eu volto pra fazer a campanha.
To explore, and next door to the quarry is an abandoned
pra quem é carente de um banjo, acho que esse jogo aí tá bom. Ele é parecido com os banjos antigos.
Strange happenings, which is also caused by the titanium deposits in the area. Water flows uphill. Animals behave strangely. There's caves dedicated to the mystery of the Sasclops, which is a giant one-eyed being that might have existed and might not have. Here in the questionable area, Raz's family is camped out, his entire family, as if to embarrass him in front of his new Psychonauts friends. His family has showed up and they want him back in the circus. It turns out some of his family members, including his own father, have a little bit of psychic power themselves, and they'll be exploring that in Psychonauts 2, and you'll get to find out who put this curse on Raz's family to die in water. The Quados have been cursed by a mysterious character to all die in water, and this manifests itself in the form of the Hand of Galokio, which is this hand that comes out of the water, which is really just Raz's psychic construct. Raz is so afraid of water because of the curse put on his family that every time he comes near water, this creepy hand comes out and tries to grab him and pull him under, which is all happening inside of Raz's head. In Psychonauts 2, you'll get to find out who put this curse on Raz's family,
igualzinho, né?
where it came from, and what he can do about it.
Play
The
2
story you
total,
uncover about the curse put on Raz's family links back into the story of the foundation of the Psychonauts, and Raz finds out that his family and the Psychonauts family are actually more intertwined than he believed. So there's a lot of mystery to discover for the player and Raz and his family and his friends as they explore the connections between his family and the Psychonauts and what it all has to do with Maligula. Maligula is one of the first villains the Psychonauts ever fought. She's a powerful psychic and she's a mass murderer, and she's been believed to be dead for many years, but there's a lot of unknown things going on behind the scenes and a lot of mysteries and a lot of plots for the player to uncover in Psychonauts 2. So that's it. Thanks for taking this deeper look into Psychonauts 2 with me. The game is coming out August 25th, and you can pre-order now. So I'll stop talking so you can go and do that. Thanks for watching.
Hello? Essa! Liu! Lance!
Esse é mais um Left 4 Dead.
No problem. Stick together and let's do this.
Aí, ó, mais um pra fazer bush co-op aí, ó.
Is this a disco?
This I do not like.
I could use some help. Hit your pulse.
Esse tá parecendo mais o COD Zombie do que Left 4 Dead.
What if we open the doors and run? Just run. No stopping, no shooting, just straight to the bridge.
Get that flasher!
Heavy. Really? We call them tanks.
I call them brutes. From Latin, brutus.
We'd sound smart calling them brutes.
Eon, you don't want to get in here and help name these?
Nah, I'm good.
Brute!
Olha lá, o tanque. Game Pass.
The Anacrusis is looking like a game I didn't realize I needed in my life. And here from Stray Bombay to tell us more about the Anacrusis is Chet Felisek. Chet, thank you for being here.
Oh, thanks for having me.
Now, talk to me about this game, the
tem um logo
Anacrusis.
parece o Atari.
What's the concept? How did you come up with this?
So I grew up with late 60s, early 70s sci-fi. I love that stuff, right? Logan's Run,
You know, Battlestar Galactica Space 1999, that wasn't cheesy to me or campy. That was just the way sci-fi was. And so we wanted to set a game in that world, right? We have those cool colors, cool shapes, fantastical sci-fi weapons and creatures. And then it also lends itself to, we wanted something that was positive about the players, the characters, you're working together. Sure, there's aliens. Sure, you're fighting them. Sure, you're trying to save Earth. But you're doing it in a positive, uplifting way. Yeah, after the pandemic, I don't think I could go back to a dreary post-apocalyptic world. I need something uplifting, and so we wanted to deliver that.
That's awesome. Now, talk to me about the gameplay. You've said that there's an infinite
Eu acho que mostrado sim, não foi? Esse jogo eu tinha visto já tinha mostrado.
There's 4-player co-op, you're playing with your friends, and what we want to do is make sure that it's different every time you're playing it. And so we have a lot of different systems.
Foi lá no evento do Jeff Keighley.
The AI driver is driving everything that's happening in the game with items, where they're placed, what's happening with the creatures, what's happening with your health kits, your perks, all of those systems are driven.
É Left 4 Dead, Call of Duty.
And so what that means is, as you're playing, not only do you have those, hey, this last time we played this, there was nothing here, and this time we're being overwhelmed. And then you also have those peaks and valleys so that you have some downtime, and then you have some really big uptime in it. Or, you know, a lot of combat happening in it. We're also monitoring how the people are playing. So if you're first time playing,
eu lembro de ter visto já, porque o jogo tá no Game Pass.
Put health kits right on the main path for you to find. And then if you don't find them at first, we'll spawn a couple more later. But if you're really good, if you're really killing it, well, we might not put anything on the main path. And so if you want to go find your perks or if you want to go find new weapons, you have to go off that main path and go search for that. And it makes the game just a little bit harder.
É bem Left 4 Dead. Bom, vai ser legal. Se não for conquista muito apelativo, vai ser legal fazer isso aí.
Double the health of all the enemies. Right. And then we do something of, we actually look from session to session as well. So if you play with the same 3 friends every week, and you guys have been killing it for 10 weeks in a row, well, let's mix it up for you. Let's just throw something crazy at you that you've never seen before, and a million aliens. And we can do that because normally when you do difficulty, you've got to be here because you don't know what happened before or after. But here, we have these really big peaks and valleys, so we can bring you to nothing for a little bit, and then have it go crazy.
I love that it's scaling to your basically your skill level.
Estúdio pequeno, né, pô?
Yeah, that's fantastic. Now, kind of deeper dive more into the perk system that you're going to have in the game.
So for the perks, we looked at a lot of games
where Black for Blood, quando sai, sai eu tô jogando.
And then, you know, if you're playing with your same friends, well, I'm going to be support, you're going to be carry, someone else will be help.
Ah lá, vai ter classe já, ó.
What systems we're playing and how we're playing.
Gustavo é o tanque.
Mix that up so that every time you're playing, you're
Fica parado.
Kind of choosing your role based on the perks you're getting. So perks come in this thing called the meta compiler, and you have to go find the meta compilers in the world. And once you find one, you'll have from 1 to 3 perks to choose from. And then over time, you're essentially building a deck for your character. And so you might have it where, if you saw in the trailer, there's a pulse, which is kind of like a melee shove. Well, you can invest in that.
Eu lembro de ter visto já esse
jogo. You can now recharge your pulse faster, and now it protects other players around you. And then it gets more powerful, and you can actually do damage with it. So all of a sudden, you went from being a support character playing in the back to leading the charge going forward and knocking down aliens and everyone else blasting them. Or you'll get a bunch of perks that are about investing in one weapon and making it where when you do headshots, it actually does damage to other aliens around. So now you're the sniper hanging back. And so it's really mixing up that kind of experience that you're having. And you'll earn these perks as you play. So the more you play, the more perks you have. But since we want the game to always be great to play with your friends, if you've been playing, you know, let's say you play with me. I've been playing 400 hours. You're brand new.
Yeah.
Well, we share the perks. So you get all the perks that I have available to me as well.
Aí, ó. Eu tô vendo que o povo vai ser carregado.
It's all about having fun with your friends.
Right, the shared experience.
Se você é upado e seu amigo noob entrar, você compartilha seus perks, as coisas que você conseguiu com seu amiguinho preguiçoso.
But let's talk more about the enemies in the game. What was some of the inspirations for that?
So the enemies is we kind of look at it of how we want the players to behave as well as feel. And so we bring in outside playtesters every week. They play our game, we watch them, and what we'd see is really good teams would stick together really tightly. And even if we send something like the Brute at them that spreads them apart, they'd quickly form back together.
I love bichinho especial.
So we created something called the spawner. Yeah. And this is a good example of kind of how we approach the design. The spawner, you hear off in the distance, and you hear it, and you know what it's doing. It's spawning things. It spawns these little turrets that come at you. They're not the worst thing, but they're going to be unrelenting until you kill the spawner. And so you'll be sticking with your team, and you'll be like, oh, wait a minute. If the spawner comes now, and this turrets come, and we've got a guy down, we've got to go over there, I'm not sticking with my team. I'm going to go hunt that thing down. I'm going to go kill it. So you go run off, you kill it, you're feeling good about it, and then all of a sudden you realize, wait, where are my teammates? I'm all alone. There's other specials here. Oh, I'm in trouble. And it's trying to create those kind of moments where it's mixing it up, where you always want to have it where it kind of almost takes turns of one player's the last one surviving, they're the last one up, and they're helping everybody else up and get it going. And so really looking at having those enemies give you those moments for how it affects the players.
Bonus question for you. What does the anacrusis actually mean?
So anacrusis is a musical term. It means the notes before the song, the little kind of intro. And for this, we have a character, Boris, that you never meet. And all the players just talk about it, because I thought it was fun to have this character that you never really are sure who they are because it's everyone else describing it. And she named the barge that you're on, that you're launching these missions, the anacrusis. And her thought there was, this is not the main event. This is not us against the aliens with fighter pilots and everything else. This is just regular people. This is the pre-battle.
Aquela graminha tá quadradinha ali, hein? Olha lá, tá quadrada, hein?
Oh, that sounds so cool. Again, the anacrusis, everything that you talked about today, it sounds amazing. I can't wait to get my hands on it. But Chet, thank you so much for being here. I really appreciate it.
Thanks for having me.
We've got so much more coming in today's show, including Obsidian Entertainment with Grounded, iLlusions, and Let It Roll with Shredders.
Vai ter Grounded.
343 Industries with a deeper dive on that incredible multiplayer trailer for Halo Infinite.
Halo.
But first, the original Stalker was one of the most intense and eerie games of its era. Next year, we return to Chernobyl for Stalker 2. And Zach from GSC Game World has a closer look at the game. Let's check it out.
Mais Stalker. Mais Stalker.
Hi everyone, it's Zach from GSC
Vem
Game
xCloud
World.
pra
It
Xbox
has been
One.
several days since the gameplay review of Stalker 2. Our game now has a subtitle, Heart of Chernobyl, and a release date of April 28, 2022. By the way, the pre-orders are open for both PC and Xbox. You're obviously here willing to learn more, so here are several details about Stalker 2, Heart of Chernobyl you probably didn't know yet. So let's dive a little bit deeper in our trailer. This section of the trailer is a bandit's gunfight on the chemical plant. You can see the actual in-game animations of picking up the weapons and installing modifications on the go. The thing is, you can notice the
Só achei esse
teaser
trailer meio
we are not showing
scriptado
the exact moment
demais.
right now because we wonder if you can discover it yourself. You may actually recognize the exact location on the swamps. If you played Stalker Clear Sky, you may remember this place. The time did the job, but the tower is definitely still there. Also in this scene, you can see a brand new detector Skiff is using for the artifact hunt. Because of its form, it's called Gilka, which actually means a branch in the Ukrainian.
Que tá, ele é parafuso, mano.
The artifact Skiff is going to collect is called Jelly. In-game, it recovers your stamina. Moving to the dancing man scene. Before you ask it, yes, there will be a lot of characters with an interesting fate in the zone. His hideout is located in Chernobyl too. That's a town not so far from Pripyat you have seen in the gameplay teaser.
Da hora que os caras vão falar tudo em russo, mano. Da hora. É bom quando regionaliza o game no lugar ali mesmo. Ele vai estar lá em Chernobyl e o cara falando inglês.
The campfires. A small isle of safety in the unwelcoming zone. A place where you can finally have a little rest before another foray. You have seen the campfire during the first trailer in the Rookie village. Of course, it wasn't the only one.
Opa, essa cena aí. Não, tinha essa cena.
The zone is full of dangers and mutants. The monsters are the result of the numerous experiments. We're not ready to show you all of them, so let's stick to the old good bloodsucker for now.
Reclama de inglês, imagina de russo.
Я не думал, как обойтись без его смерти. Она не могла быть свободна, пока он жил.
Se tem uma legenda, tá ótimo.
Посмотри на нее. Нет, Скиф. Я не
Olha o
отдам
Leon da Rússia.
Новую жизнь. Жизнь, которую я готов вернуть,
o
если
Leon
потребуется.
Ucraniano, russo.
Я буду защищать ее. Всегда.
In this rooftop scene, we are truly proud with the quality of the animations. We made a small behind-the-scenes video from our motion capture studio. The face photogrammetry process makes the final result as close to the reality as possible.
Она не могла быть свободна, пока он жил. Я буду защищать ее. Всегда.
The Gauss gun you're seeing in this section is one of the most powerful weapons from the arsenal.
Essa é de umas armas mais poderosas, tá?
Похоже, пора.
И куда ты теперь?
В Припять.
Moving to the final thing for today, the man at the end of the trailer is Sergei Grigorovich, the creator of the Stalker series.
Удачной охоты, сталкер.
Thanks for joining us today. We can't wait for the moment when the time comes to enter the zone on April 28, 2022.
Ah, só no ano que vem vai ser esse jogo? Pensei que ia ser esse
As
ano.
you just saw, Stalker 2 is shaping up to be something special, and I can't wait to play it next year when it comes to Xbox, PC, and Game Pass on day one. On Sunday, we saw the trailer for A Plague Tale Requiem, the sequel to the award-winning A Plague Tale Innocence. And for those of you who are fans of the original, we've got
Eu
some
pensei
good
que era
news
esse ano
for you
também.
too.
Bom, menos mal. Quem sabe até lá eu tô com Chiboca.
Where is he?
Agora é um remake pro Xbox One, ou é só um upgrade?
No one can escape their own blood.
We call this odorous.
A origem do Vermintide aí. Só que o jogo deu errado, os ratos prevaleceram.
You have come to challenge me.
Olha lá, vai ter um update 4K. 6 de julho.
If history was in your hands, what would you build?
Só quero saber se vai vir pra Xbox. Fica com frescura. Ele é o Gengis Khan. E os outros eu não reconheço.
The King is back. And here to tell us more about Age of Empires 4 are Adam Icegreen and Emma Bridle from World's Edge. Thank you both for being here.
Thanks for having us on, Paris.
Oh, absolutely. my legacy Age player. I'm excited for this. Now, you had some news at the briefing. Can you kind of talk about that a little more?
Well, I mean, fans got to have their first looks at two more of our launch civilizations, the Abbasid dynasty and the French.
Yes.
And they bring a lot to the table, totally different ways to play. But I'm really excited to show them those. And then also people got to see their first taste of naval gameplay, which we haven't shown off at all except for a little teaser at the end of fan preview.
Paying off that tease. And we also revealed one more of our campaigns, the 100 Years' War, and Joan of Arc made an appearance. We also announced that the game is coming October 28th, and it's coming to Windows Store, Steam, and of course, Game Pass for PC.
Cadê o Xbox,
Now, earlier
filha
you
da
mentioned the
puta?
two civilizations, the Abbasid dynasty and the French. Can you kind of go into detail about that?
Sure. Yeah, I guess I'll start. The Abbasid. So the Abbasid dynasty is this amazing technological powerhouse of a civilization that has a really unique mechanic that we're bringing to them in Age of Empires 4. It's actually unique across all the
Cadê o
civs that are in
bagulho
the
do
game.
Xbox,
In
mano?
that they construct this bastion of knowledge called the House of Wisdom, and they can keep upgrading it with different wings, and that gives them a host of incredible technologies that leverage their army, their economy, their resources. But beyond even that, they have an incredible amount of fun units, especially camels. Unique to the civs again, the launch civs for Age of Empires 4 is camel units. And these camels have amazing abilities to buff the other units in their armies. And so you have these wonderful diverse mixes where you always want to be throwing different units together, but always including camels for the different kinds of buffs and advantages you can give to your civilization. It's great.
And the French are really, really strong with trade. They've got some great options that are going to make your late game really, really interesting. They have a landmark called the House of Commerce. And for your units, you're going to really want to focus on knights and lancers. Those are your powerhouses. But the French actually made an appearance in the trailer as part of the 100 Years' War campaign. And as you can see, Joan there, I'm actually wearing her around my neck. She's a feminist icon from history. This young woman who led her convictions and led a battle, and she was a teenager. And so she's beloved. She's in Age 2 in a campaign, and so we know Age fans are going to love seeing her again. And the 100 Years' War, with the multiple missions, like the Battle of the 30, are really going to bring that period of history to life. And all the live action footage that you saw in the trailer on Sunday, that's all from within the game. Wow. We have these multiple documentaries that will play between the missions to storytell and really bring it to life as you journey through the 100 Years' War.
Taking a completely different approach to how we're telling a story. Matter of fact, I don't think I've seen any game that does what we're doing in terms of how we're showing the story and how we're getting people involved with history. So
it really,
super exciting.
Really brings it to life. And I've learned things about English history from these documentaries I didn't learn in school. So they're educating as well as moving the game forward.
Now, community feedback is always important in any game, but especially in something like Age. Now, how have you taken some of that feedback into development for Age 4?
So we formed a community council back in 2017. We wanted our community and our players to have a seat at the table for development. We're making the game for them. So they've been hands-on with the game for a really long time and giving us their honest feedback. And we then take that to the game team and they look at making changes based on what they've told us. So they've influenced things from the look of the UI icons, the influence system that's built into Age 4. They've really, really helped us with their viewpoints make the game better. And one thing they really pushed for was naval.
Yeah, it's amazing.
Actually,
you know, if you look at a lot of the data, you know, we see data on all of the Age of Empires games that people play, and naval is one of those things that in Age 2, a lot of people don't use it, which is crazy, right? But if it wasn't there, people would miss it so much. And sometimes we have to ask those hard questions when we're making games, right? We say, like, do we need to do this? And it was something that we felt weird about. And we went to the council with it, and we're like, hey, you know, not even you guys don't play naval all the time. Like, do we need it? And they're like, yeah, no, we see your point, but you know you have to have this. Yeah. And it was great. It was a great reaffirmation. And we throw a lot of things like that at our council to make sure that we're making the game that's great for all the different kinds of players that love Age of Empires all over the world.
And now we're heading towards launch. We're branching out beyond our council. People are going to get hands-on for the first time. So we had a fan preview event back in April, and we looked at the feedback from that and have made changes since then. So, you know, you let us know that you didn't feel like the weapon scaling was quite right. So we've gone ahead and we've improved that.
That is fantastic. Now, you actually hit on something that I wanted to jump into because Age has been around for a while. There's been previous games, but you continue to make content for those. So what's some of the news you can share as far as development with some of the legacy Age games?
Well, we have a new expansion coming in August for Age 2 Definitive Edition called Dawn of the Dukes. And in
DLC pro Age of Empires 2, velho, tá
2
louco.
more civilizations, the Bohemians and the Poles, and 3 new campaigns for the Lithuanians, the Bohemians, and the Poles. And those are great stories about really cool, like, brother and sister teams that work together to kind of rise up these empires. And I can't wait for people to get their hands on it.
Dá pra fazer mais 1000 e poucos dias lá na outra versão.
You get that for free. That's part of the deal for pre-ordering Age 4 on the different platforms. And for Age 3, of course, because we don't want to leave them out either. Age 3 Definitive Edition, we're hard at work on an African PDLC with new civilizations and campaigns. And I can't wait to show more, but we're not ready to talk about that one just yet.
But if you don't want to miss out, go to ageofempires.com, become an insider. You get little sneak peeks at things we've got coming and chances to get hands-on with content early.
Yeah. Now, shifting us back to the present in Age 4, what's some of the things people can expect as we lead up to launch?
Well, we've got
Do 1 é a mesma coisa, é que eles relançaram o jogo, mas se você fechar o primeiro antigo, você praticamente consegue abrir o outro e ele pula quase todas as conquistas lá.
But our 2 remaining civilizations are the Holy Roman Empire.
Só que o primeiro foi deslistado da loja.
The names of our 2 remaining campaigns are the Rise of Moscow and the Mongol Empire.
All that sounds fantastic, please.
No, I was just going to say, I'm so excited. I get all gushing about things like this. You're going to have to wait a little more to get information and see more detail on those civilizations and campaigns, but we've also got, you know, a ton of stuff planned. We have a beta that's going to be coming up. So, you know, you can go to ageofempires.com to sign up for, be an insider to get in our beta and get a chance to actually get hands-on with the game. And then, of course, again, you know, we're launching October 28th. Yep.
Not long to wait.
On, you know, on Steam, on Windows 10, and on Game Pass for PC. So it should be great any way you want to play.
Xbox.
We're just really excited.
That is great. And I'm sure Age fans all around the world are really looking forward to that. So, again, Adam, Emma, thank you so much for being here.
Capaz de ser PlayStation, mas não serve Xbox.
Massive battles across land, air, and sea. have been a hallmark of the Battlefield series from the beginning. In this next video, design director Daniel Berlin will tell us more about what DICE can do when it brings all-out warfare to the world's most powerful console.
Olha lá. BF só online.
The thing that would really excite players is the introduction of all this cutting-edge technology that we're just infusing into the sandbox. I think just having the comeback of the helicopter on the battlefield, it just introduces a whole new layer to the sandbox. It just gives players so much more tools that makes it more Battlefield than it's been in a very long time. We really enable our players to be really, really creative with the tools we give them. And that's what Battlefield is kind of all about. Being in a massive, open war setting and being able to say like, hey, there's a problem over there, go solve it. And the players actually choose how they want to solve that problem. And through that process, create their own Battlefield moments. So in 2042, you will experience 3 really distinct experiences. The one we're talking about right now, we're talking about today, is the experience that we call the all-out warfare experience. Now, this is the place you go in 2042 when you want to have those classic Battlefield experiences, this massive war where it's, you know, air, land, and sea just coming together in these massive battles. But we've actually made a distinction between 2 separate experiences within the all-out warfare experience, and that's Conquest, which is a pretty much a staple for our franchise.
Mas eu não vou pagar 600 conto num jogo só online, não.
And we're just taking the Conquest experience to the max this time around. Conquest is all about the freedom, the access to the sandbox, being able to choose where you fight, how you fight, where you want to go. But it's also experience that will allow players to kind of choose their own pacing. And there's moments in Conquest where it's complete chaos. When a lot of players they just converge on a single point and the chaos goes up to the maximum. But there's also moments within Conquest where, you know, you've just had that big battle and now you've won that battle and you go like, okay, you bring up your map and you have a conversation with your friends and you say like, okay, where do we want to go next? Oh, we need to go over there to that state. Okay, how do we get there? Oh, let's call in a vehicle. And a vehicle, you can call it in wherever you want. And then your friends, you hop into the transport vehicle and you go across the map and you go to a new location where there's a new fight. So Conquest is just that full freedom to the sandbox. And right next to that is the other experience within All Out Warfare, which is Breakthrough. And this is a significantly more guided experience.
Exatamente, tem que ser free to play, cara.
On a journey throughout the entire map. And in
Não
Breakthrough, there's an attacker and there's a defender team. And we kind of compress them into fighting head-on in a specific space. So the time to action is short and the level of chaos is really, really high. There's helicopters and there's tanks and there's infantry. There's just everything happening and it's just complete chaos in Breakthrough. So All Out Warfare kind of takes these 2 fan-favorite staple modes and we make them distinctly lean into their specific strength. And that's on the Xbox Series X and the Xbox Series S, you will actually be able to play All Out Warfare experiences up to 128 players, which is a double to what we've done in the past in the franchise. And this is really, you know, you can have those moments when you're playing 2042, when you're sitting in the helicopter and you look down and you just see this, you know, sea of tanks, soldiers, infantry, helicopters, fighter jets just moving in unison, and you kind of get this feeling that you're part of something bigger, like a really, really massive army. And that's the strength of the massive play spaces that we're building. And to be able to really make this play really well, we've altered our way of handling level design. Because it wasn't just as simple as, you know, just making it bigger and then portion the locations out. It doesn't really work that way. So we've leaned into a new type of design mentality that we're calling clustering. Now, what clustering means that you will have a massive
Nossa, é uma bagunça desgraçada, mano.
But within this massive battlefield, you'll have particular clusters of objectives. So the map Hourglass is set in Doha, Qatar, and it is. I'm not going to go into any specifics about exactly how large it is, but it is definitely one of the larger maps that we will have in 2042. It's one of my favorite maps personally because it has some really, really cool, distinct locations within it. Down to the south of the map, you'll have a fully destructible village. And this is a great space for infantry and vehicles alike, because you know, as a Battlefield player, that infantry is skulking around inside the buildings, but you know, when you're in your tank or your attack helicopter, you can just, you know, can destroy those buildings and get access to the infantry. And you can go further east and you'll find a bunch of high-rises, skyscrapers. And so there's a whole section there where you can enter the skyscrapers, you can go up to the top of them, you can zip line between the roofs, have fights in between the rooftops. But if you want to change it up even more, you can basically skydive off of the skyscrapers. And if you're playing a particular specialist that has access to a wingsuit, you can actually glide across the entire map space and get yourself all the way over to the stadium, which is on the east side of the map. And the stadium itself, it's a place you go when you really want to just take out your shotgun and have some close quarters combat. So the mentality here of building larger maps, but creating locations within that map.
Eu também acho que vai flopar isso aí, mano.
Type of gameplay. And with the Conquest game mode, for example, you will also see the
Eu acho que ele vai melhorar só depois de um tempo.
The entirety of the stadium. It's not just to go there and capture one location.
Mas no lançamento acho que vai flopar bem legal.
Within the stadium in order for you to kind of to consider it yours, that your team can actually get benefits from it. So lots of dynamic moments on Hourglass, and if you saw in the gameplay trailer as well, there's a massive wall of sand moving across the entire gameplay space. So what happens when this massive wall comes, of course it engulfs you in the storm itself. But as it passes by, it leaves the entirety of the map in a different mood, in a different light, and it changes the visibility for the player. And this is a really good time for you to lean into our Plus system, where you have the capability to actually alter the customization on your weapon. But I'd also like to mention, though, that the wall of sand is one thing, right? But there's also the possibility of the tornado.
Pois é. Agora se vai ser pago ou não é outra história, né? O 5 não foi nada pago. Vamos ver se eles mudou de ideia agora, né?
Disruptor that just comes into the play space, and wherever it goes, destruction follows. It's a massive, moving physical entity that will pick you up, throw you across the map, pull helicopters into it. It's just a crazy, fun physics experience that happens as you play the map. So everything is in the hands of the player. This really is a sandbox, and these moments are in the hands of the player. While in other games the Battlefield moments are pre-scripted, in our game they just happen, and they happen differently every single time because it's players controlling what's happening around you. That's something that you only get in Battlefield, and that's why I love Battlefield so much.
Epic action at an epic scale is what we all want from Battlefield 2042, and DICE looks poised to deliver. During the showcase on Sunday, we announced an exciting collaboration between Rare, Xbox, and Disney with Sea of Thieves, A Pirate's Life, a free update which brings Captain Jack Sparrow and his crew sailing into the Sea of Thieves. Today, we're premiering a brand new trailer showing some of the gameplay you'll experience when you team up with Jack Sparrow for this all-new adventure. I can't wait to be a part of this crew. Let's take a look.
You will always remember this is the day your crew was joined
by Captain
Jack Sparrow. To the Sea of Thieves. Quick as you like. Chop, chop.
It's time to bridge the worlds and take our rightful places as lords of the sea.
Now we have awoken, and we are hungry.
Perhaps they'll take me on the grand tour of me fallen kingdom.
I was starting to think you'd taken a tumble. Not everyone's as steady.
Olha lá, vai ter coisa de armadilha, já tô vendo. News Cosmetic.
This is the first place I've found where everyone appreciates my uniqueness.
Novos inimigos.
They're coming aboard.
Olha lá, tão grandão agora, mano.
Davy Jones wishes you destroyed, and I shall oblige him.
What is that infernal noise?
That's Captain Infernal Noise to you, mate.
Sparrow.
Olha lá, tem a nuvem nova.
and there'll be the double to pay.
Ah, tem que destruir as estátuas.
Enough of this. Hear me, my daughter. Come more than me.
Olha lá, mano. Apareceu o Kraken. Vai aparecer a cabeça do Kraken, mano. Que da hora.
Whatever they've told you, it's not true.
Vamos ver a 6.
It's all true, but they left out the best bits.
22 de junho.
Hey everyone, Joni, executive producer on Sea of Thieves here. So we've shown you the cinematic trailer, we've shown the gameplay trailer, but there's still more to come. So on Sunday at 11 AM Pacific, 2 PM Eastern, 7 PM UK and 8 PM in Europe, we have the Sea of Thieves A Pirate's Life Showcase. So this is a real deep dive just into all of the details behind this collaboration with Disney. How did we bring Jack Sparrow into our world? How did we capture his humor and his charm and all of the kind of characters that are coming in as a part of this? You're going to get a first look at a couple of tales and actual gameplay of those. You're going to get some behind the scenes interviews with our development team and also just to chat with us and with Disney just about how this collaboration came to be. So it's going to be amazing. I hope everybody tunes in. So we'll see you on Sunday.
Ó, o Fly Simulator. Voar de aviãozinho. Tem o corre do monstrinho, esse é só voar com o aviãozinho. Já pensou? Lá você pode voar com seus amiguinhos. Esse aí também é um passo bonito. A não ser que for o molezinho de 1000G. Aí você vai pilotar um caça, dá pra meter balinha, bomba?
I'm ready for the danger zone. But we'll get to that in just a second. When Microsoft Flight Simulator launched last year on PC, reviewers and gamers alike were blown away by the stunning visuals and the depth
Eu não vi até hoje, cara, a lista de conquistas, você acredita? Eu tava na curiosidade, mas eu meio que acabei esquecendo.
Thank you for being here. Really appreciate it.
Good to meet you. Those are cool glasses. You get your jacket.
Yeah, I got my jacket as well. So, you had some announcements this Sunday about Microsoft Flight Simulator. Can you go into that a little bit?
Yeah, it was super cool. We announced that Microsoft Flight Simulator is coming to Xbox Series X and S. And the franchise has an awesome history on the PC. It's going back all the way to 1982. You know, it predates Office and Windows. And when we launched last year, it was on the PC only. And it was a really warm welcome from simmers and from press and from people who have never flown flight sim before. So we're super excited that it comes to console now. And so for the first time in the history of the franchise.
So I've been playing Flight Simulator since last year on PC. Yeah. I have a 3080, but it is now coming to the Xbox Series X and S. What sorcery are you doing to get this running on both of those consoles? I have to know.
I think it's a combination of two things, really. first off, it's a super powerful console.
Yes.
And then we are really using the Microsoft tech stack in an interesting way. So as you know, Series X and S is like a beast.
Vai ser complicado.
The
Vai ser
GPU
puro
is
farm.
awesome, super powerful CPU with multiple cores, RAM, fast RAM. We can run in 4K. That's super important for planes because you sit there in the cockpit, you need to be able to read all the text. SSD, fast internet. So it's basically the equivalent of a really powerful high-end PC. And on top of that, on Flight Sim, we're using the Microsoft stack a lot. Like we have 2.5 petabyte of data. It's 1.6 million CDs, sitting on Azure. And we're basically streaming that down as you go. And we also do machine learning algorithms up there, and that is how we build procedurally in runtime 1.5 billion houses and 2 trillion trees. So it's a combination of those two things. Super powerful console, super good use of the Microsoft tech stack. You get it to work on console.
That is fantastic. Now, with Xbox Game Pass and with it coming to console, you're going to expose Flight Simulator to a lot of new gamers, right? So what are some of the things that you're going to do to make it more accessible to a wider audience?
So we had, you're exactly right. We had a little bit of that last year when we launched because we knew the flight simmers, that's their hobby. They came in, they know everything about aviation, they know exactly what to do. But we had a lot of people come in through Xbox Game Pass on PC and basically try.
Esse cara com essa camisa aí, sabe quem tá me lembrando? Parecendo aquele cara do Resident Revelation lá com o símbolo da BSAA lá. Tá parecendo lá o comandante lá do Resident. Pousar em 500 aeroportos, nossa.
If you're becoming a pilot, the first thing you do is you do a discovery flight. It's basically, you know, you have a flight instructor next to you. He does most of the work, he or she, and you get to steer the plane and feel really good about yourself, right? And so we said, we need to recreate that. So we picked 10 places on Earth, like some of the most compelling places, like Mount Everest, or Rio de Janeiro, or New York, or the pyramids. And we basically put you in a plane, it's ready to go, it's beautiful weather, and all you need to do is fly and have fun. And it really is an onboarding experience, is super good. And then we noticed on the PC side that people really love to explore the world in Flight Sim. I did that. I've spent like a month in South America, and I've never been to South America.
Esse tá que nem Watch Dogs já, me dando som nesse jogo aí.
It was only visuals. And you know, so you didn't quite understand how everything fits together. So now we added labels.
Ah lá, vai levar bala.
Bing has all these labels basically for every POI, like famous place or river or mountain. So we have all those now, and we put that into the world map. And even if you go down and you try to plan out your flight, you can now see all the cities around you, and it's totally transforms the experience. Same in game. So we now have labels in game where you see, you know, here's Everett, over there's, you know, whatever, and you learn about the planet more, and it's a much more enriching experience, just experiencing the planet.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, the next thing we did is we revamped the tutorials. We wanted to basically smoothen out the onboarding experience. We wanted to retain knowledge more. So we had 8 tutorials on the PC, now we have 22. Oh, wow. And they're shorter, they're much more focused, and we have a performance indicator system. So basically it rates you and how you did, and you get a score. And honestly, I can speak for myself. Like, I'm totally motivated to get better and better and better. And with that, you learn more and more how you really fly. So it's been super successful, and I think it's going to help.
Se passar pelo rio, já cai, já.
The next feature that we have is
Ih, lá o céu lá meio pipocando ali, mano.
It's basically, so imagine you fly over New York and you see. You want to actually just look at the landscape and look at the city, but you know eventually you want to go to Brooklyn Bridge. So on the flight instructor, you can now flight assistants, you can now click on
Será que tem a minha casa?
Brooklyn Bridge, and the AI, almost like a co-pilot next to you, will fly you to the Brooklyn Bridge, and you can just look around and have an interesting time. Same with airports, which are sometimes challenging for people.
Se passar aqui na minha casa, vai ver o Snake latindo no fundo ali.
Say Newark Airport. And then the last thing is, if you really get yourself in trouble, like you stall out the plane or something like that, you can actually now click into, you can now go and basically say recover. And it's almost like the pilot is sitting next to you. Super helpful. I think that people will love it. And the last thing was, you know, we learned that everybody's good taking off, but some people are hesitant to land, specifically when you look at like big international airports and they seem scary and you need to talk to the air traffic controller and all that, super technical. So we added a new feature called Land Anywhere. Just let them land anywhere. And then when you do that, the first thing you see is 71% of the planet is water.
Yes.
So we added basically floats to a bunch of our planes, and you can land everywhere now in the ocean or in rivers or wherever. Same with snow. So we have skis on our planes now. And
Se voar pelo sul, vai ver que nem aquela foto do Fallout lá, a reunião ali.
So I think those 5 things in combination
vai ver isso aí correndo.
Easier for people who have never been in a flight sim, because it's, you know, we made a decision not to dumb down the flight sim. It's not easier. It's not gamified.
Umas pessoas meio estranhas.
We gave assistances to help you learn how to actually fly a plane.
Cabelos coloridos.
So, one thing on PC is there's a ton of flight accessories that you can use as far as various peripherals and controls. What are you going to be able to bring to the console that can somewhat replicate that experience?
Totally, yeah. It's a good news story. So there's 2 really good flight sticks already on the console. It's the Thrustmaster T-Flight HOTAS 1. If you have that, and then there's also the HOTI HOTAS flight stick. Yep. And so we fully support those 2. And then we worked with all the main top-notch peripheral makers, both on PC and Xbox. And all I can say is there are going to be some really good announcements coming up. And for Core Simmer, I can say you can now play. We have the software to have a full Core Sim experience, and we'll have the hardware on Xbox, all for the first time on a console. It's going to be great.
Chega, vai pro próximo aí, mano.
We obviously had the funny start with the Top Gun Maverick expansion pack. You announced that, but can you go into a little more detail about that?
Yeah, I mean,
can expect.
We couldn't be more excited, right? Like, I mean, it's really like a dream come true. If you think about entertainment and the franchises that celebrate aviation, you will actually come to Microsoft Flight Simulator and Top Gun, and it's a perfect marriage. So I can't say that much about it because the movie obviously is, you know, keeps everything under wraps. But if you watch the trailer carefully, you saw there's some F-18s, and there's an aircraft carrier. There might be another plane. And then I can say is we're going to go fast, like really fast, and we're going to be in the danger zone.
Eu nem sei se eu vou jogar ele hoje mesmo à noite.
Looking forward to that. Now, as we wrap this up,
tô pensando seriamente em começar já o Max Payne hoje e jogar o Hot Dog amanhã à tarde.
Ever since launch, we said we're going to launch and have a new update, like a big, meaningful update every single month. And we launched 9 months ago, and we had 9 updates. So we have something that's called World Updates, where we just pick a zone on Earth, like the United States or Japan or like England and Ireland, and we make that really better. Like we get the latest the best possible satellite imagery. We create an elevation map that basically makes the mountains look better. We create 3D cities. Like after launch, we launched London and Paris, and we also make missions. So we celebrate the planet, like with these updates. And we're just going to go around the planet. We're shipping 2 more this year and 6 more next year. And then we also have something called sim updates, simulation updates, where we work with the manufacturers of planes, with the flight sim community out there that knows tons about everything, and also with real-world pilots. And we're basically making the sim better and better. The goal is to make the ultimate sim. Yeah. It's the perfect thing, totally authentic. And then on top of that, you should expect the unexpected. Just like with Maverick, which I don't think people really saw coming, there will be more of that. And I think all I can say is it'll get the gamers and the simmers both their hearts pounding. So keep watching the skies.
That is awesome. Now, again, I'm so excited that more people are going to get to play Flight Simulator. I've been playing it on PC. I love it. I highly recommend everyone do the flight from LA to Paris. It's really good, very cathartic. But as we get out of here, I want to thank you so much for taking some time to talk about Flight Simulator. Can't wait for that expansion pack.
Thank you so much. It was awesome.
Thank you. Still to come, we have Grounded, Shredders, and of course, Halo Infinite. But first, one of the best PC games of 2020 was Hades, and it's got a ton of awards to prove it. Here's a closer look at what we can expect from Supergiant Games later this year on Xbox Series X and S.
Oh, Hades.
We just announced that Hades, our Game of the Year winning roguelike dungeon crawler, is coming soon to Xbox, and I want to introduce you to some of the gods, ghosts, and monsters you'll meet in our rendition of the ancient Greek underworld. You don't need any prior interest in Greek myth to get into Hades, but as you play, maybe you'll get to wondering how much of this stuff comes from mythology. The answer is a whole lot. Greek myth is filled with wild, fascinating, often contradictory stories of these larger-than-life characters. The Olympians are a big, complicated family, always bickering and always pushing each other, and their portrayals in classical mythology inspired our portrayals in Hades. Let's start with Hades himself.
What is it now? I've a mountain of infernal parchment work.
He's often relegated to the role of villain in many modern adaptations of Greek myth, but in classical mythology, he's a complicated guy, and much more principled than some of his brothers or sisters. He's so fascinating, we made a whole game about him. As the god of the dead, Hades has an imposing reputation to live up to, so he even has a monstrous pet in the three-headed hound of hell, Cerberus. The idea that this savage beast was still somebody's pet dog crystallized how we wanted to portray the gods in Hades, that despite being immortal and all-powerful, they're not so different from the rest of us. Though, let's not forget Zagreus. We've heard from many players who figured Zagreus was a god of our own creation. After all, who's ever heard of Hades having any kids? But according to some ancient sources, he did.
Greetings, Father. My ransacking was a delight, thank you for asking. So I'll just be on my way again.
In classical mythology, Zagreus is a little-known chthonic god, meaning a god of the underworld, sometimes associated with Dionysus, the god of wine. But in other cases, he is associated with Hades. How could Hades have a son nobody knows about? How does he fit into the myths we do know of Hades? We were so drawn to answering these questions that they form the basis for the entire story of this game. If you're the prince of the underworld, who do you get as your personal trainer? That would be Achilles, a near-invincible warrior in his day, once called the greatest of the Greeks.
Good to see you, lad, despite the circumstances. Remember your training out there. The pain of death is but another obstacle.
Hades takes place after his untimely demise during the Trojan War, once he's had a lot of time to reflect on his life choices. Achilles lived in glory, so he's got an okay gig in the afterlife, but some wretched souls end up in a really bad spot in the underworld. And for better or worse, they get to meet Megara.
Ever stubborn, aren't you? Maybe my whip might make you reconsider whatever it is that you're attempting here.
She is one of the three Fury sisters tasked with torturing some of the absolute worst souls for all eternity. And in our game, she's also tasked with making sure Zagreus doesn't make it out of the underworld. These two have a lot of history, and since the story of Hades keeps moving forward each time you play, the more you run into Megara, the better you'll get to know her. There's also Thanatos.
Death approaches.
He may decide to drop in on you when he isn't busy whisking the souls of the recently departed to the underworld.
Thought you could just get away from me, did you?
He is the personification of death, according to Greek myth, though represents more of a peaceful death than, say, the kind that happened a lot during something like the Trojan War. So even though he can seem a little sinister at first, in the spirit of the mythology, we wanted our Thanatos to have a gentler side. Thanatos has a couple of brothers in Hades, such as Hypnos here, the personification of sleep.
Paul says here one of the wretched thugs got you. Too bad.
When he's not dozing on the job, Hypnos can comment on every single possible way you can die in this game, of the dozens and dozens of different possibilities. Where did all these gods of the underworld come from anyway? According to the Theogony, an ancient Greek creation myth by Hesiod that introduces all the gods and their ancestors, many of the chthonic gods came from Nyx, the personification of night.
Darkness guide you, child. You have outgrown this house. Of that I am now certain. Should you return again here, I shall keep you safe.
She is a primordial goddess, meaning she is much older even than Hades or the Olympians. And in our game, she has an important role in the underworld, not the least of which is helping you unlock some of your hidden power.
Esse aí tem cara que vai ser legalzinho de jogar, velho. E não vai ser fácil também.
The more you play Hades, and we hope you enjoy getting to know them all.
E lá tem
Some of them feel truly ancient and godlike. Some are funny, some are scary. We found them incredibly inspiring and hope you do too, once you get to meet everybody when Hades comes to Xbox One and Series X on August 13th.
Vou descer Afrodite. É outro Left 4 Dead pra jogar aí, ó. Warhammer. Não, acho que agora é a parte da ID Xbox. Ih, olha lá, ó.
Да пошел ты.
Eu acho que é ano que vem isso aí.
This is really good. Holy sluthering whipple!
Olha lá, 3 meses de Game Pass por $1.
Go big. Or never go home.
Conquistinha, hein? Dia 30 de junho?
Here to tell us more about the Grounded update are Adam and Eric from Obsidian Entertainment. Gentlemen, thank you so much for being here.
Thanks for having us. It's a pleasure to be here. Yeah, it's a real honor.
No, absolutely. Love Grounded, love everything that you guys have been doing with it. Now, my first question is this mushroom system. What can you tell me about that?
Yeah, so that's one of the big things for the Shroom and Doom update is mushrooms. We're really changing how the yard is with mushrooms. Every mushroom that you see in the yard is now harvestable, which is really cool. So the small ones, the big toadstools, the ones that you find in caves. Now, those were present in the yard before, but now you can actually harvest them and get mushroom stuff out of them. The next kind of part of that is that we're adding a couple base building elements like mushroom bricks.
Yeah.
So you have to take all those mushrooms that you find, and then you have to grind them up in a grinder, which is a new building, and then you have to take them to your oven, which is another new building that we're adding, and bake the mushroom stuff into bricks. And then with the mushroom brick buildings, there's a whole host of new options for base builders, and it's more fortified walls and a bunch of other options, so you can build a cool big castle.
Oh, that's really cool. Now, we saw the Brood Mother, so you're bringing bosses into Grounded. What can you tell me about that? What does that mean for the direction of the game as we move forward?
Yeah, so the Brood Mother is our first boss. So we actually launched with the Brood Mother, and we didn't really feel it hit the right mark. So we took the Brood Mother out, and we wanted to spend a lot of time making it a really memorable boss fight. So we put a lot of development effort behind the Brood Mother, and it's going to really feel like a big, huge fight and a memorable one. There's a lot of kind of cool things with it. I don't want to spoil everything. I want players to kind of experience it for themselves. But it definitely is something that we want players' feedback to see, like, what do they like? What do they not like? How is the challenge? We want to make it really challenging and have a good reward for defeating the Brood Mother. But is it too hard? We'd like to know that. So for future development on Grounded, like, we want to make more bosses. And so we want to get all that feedback to improve the system.
Now, you actually bring up a great point about community, but I'll put a pin in that and come back to it in a second. So I know you don't want to spoil anything about the Brood Mother, but is there any tips you can kind of give people ahead of time on what they can do to survive that encounter?
Aí que tá, hein?
I would definitely say that you would need to make sure you have the highest tier armor, gear up really well for this fight, because it is going to be difficult. And then you also want to have the right mutations equipped as well. And if you're playing with your friends, it might be good for one of your friends or yourself to use the brand new crossbow we're going to put into the game, so you can have some ranged DPS while someone else like face tanks the Brood Mother. So it's going to be pretty cool.
That's pretty cool. So again, going back to community, I know you love getting feedback about Grounded, obviously starting as an early access game, but what are some of the things that you're looking for as far as in this update? What was something that you got feedback-wise from the community that you put in this update?
Yeah, so there's it's one thing that we love working with community. So that's something that we, as developers, we love just hearing what people have to say about the game, and we're continually developing it with the community. So there's a lot of new things in our new update. One of those things is flipping buildings, and that's one thing that we're really like just adding like those little features. Another one is just sprinting up ladders, which is something that like, just hearing people how they interact with ladders and adding a sprint mode. The other one is one of our funnier features that we're adding is sitting in chairs. Yeah. So it's something that a lot of people really wanted.
We're also introducing like the first phase of pets in the game. So we're going to start with aphids. So you'll be able to tame an aphid, run around the yard with the aphid. But you also got to make sure you protect your aphid because accidents can happen in the backyard.
Oh, there's one other thing too, achievements. So we're really excited to announce that we have achievements in Grounded, and that's purely based on everyone's feedback. Everyone's been wanting achievements, and so we're finally adding them to the game.
That's really good. Now, again, sticking with this, the topic of community. So this was an early access game, and it sounds like pretty much the foundation of what Grounded is was built off of community feedback. So how does that process work internally for you as far as people submitting like, hey, I want to sit, I want achievement pets. Like, how does that whole process work?
So we have a lot of avenues where we gather feedback from the community. So we do weekly developer streams where chat can ask a bunch of questions when we have Adam on or other developers or myself, and we'll gather feedback in sessions there. And then our main source of feedback is through our official Discord, Grounded the Game. And I use a series of bots to gather a bunch of feedbacks from the players, and then from there, me, Adam, a couple members of the team, and also from the community team get together, and we have a weekly meeting going over all the suggestions and kind of prioritizing what will work and what we can put later in the future for like other suggestions.
Excellent. Well, gentlemen, thank you so much for taking some time to come talk to me about this new update for Grounded. It looks like a lot of fun. I'm going to get to sit, I guess, right? Yep. So that's great.
Thank you so much. Yeah, it's been a lot of fun.
It's almost time for a closer look at the multiplayer trailer for Halo Infinite. But first, it's time to see what the snow, the slopes, and the powder spray look like when powered by Xbox Series X and S. This is Shredders.
Hey there, and welcome to this stream where you'll get an extra glimpse on our snowboard game that's called Shredders. I'm Dirk van Welden, project lead at Foam Punch.
Hello, this is Marcus Foshmo, tech lead on Shredders and Foam Punch.
Yeah, you've probably seen our trailer at the Xbox event. We've been tinkering on this game for a while now, and while it's still in development, we're happy to show you more of this game. So I'm switching to our developer drone cam. I can actually spawn wherever I want, like instantly. But I first want to show you some of the areas we've been working on. This mountain resort is called Frozen Wood. It's inspired by some of the resorts in the French Alps where I've been snowboarding a lot. It has these cozy parks, side kickers, half pipes, really big rails, a lot of features in there, way more than you would expect in a normal mountain resort. But hey, this is a video game and we want as many features as possible. So yeah, like I said, this is completely open and you can go snowboarding anywhere you'd like. You can do some missions, there's like a story evolving around the main character that wants to participate in a kick-ass invitational border cross event. We can also just cruise around and find some nice lines with a good flow, like for example here in this pillow-like environment that was shown in the trailer. Or you can go up there, like take some huge kickers and big rails at the big park. And just look how big this mountain range is. Like we've got space for industrial areas and street areas, there's backcountry, high mountain riding, there's even an old Italian looking village you can shred. A lot of these locations have been inspired by events happening all over the world and snowboarding movies that inspired us these past years. It's kind of a tribute to, in fact. Also, anywhere you go, you can always ride during golden hour due to our real-time lighting engine. But hey, having a fun and realistic environment is nice, but it's not fun without nailing the riding itself, right?
Yeah, so for the actual snowboarding, a big inspiration for us all, I think, has been pro riders, snowboard movies, and all the crazy stuff that they do on a snowboard. And of course, ourselves riding in real life and just having fun and being creative on a snowboard. That's something that we want to bring into the game. Conceptually, we're trying to keep the convention of one stick for the board and one stick for the body, and directly map that onto the snowboarder. So at any point you should get a physical or animation response as soon as you're touching those sticks. And it gives you a lot of freedom in your playstyle, so you can choose to be smooth and lazy, or if you are more like fast and aggressive, or you can change up your style however you want. You want the motions kept fluid and stylish while still being very reactive. So that's a big challenge, and we had to create a complete animation system dedicated just for this. And here you can see the board interacting with the snow. He puts some weight into his turn, and he really digs in those edges into the snow for a clean carve. Or you can just use the board stick here to speed check, to line up for a feature. But you can also use both of the sticks combined for even greater control. Yeah, like here you can see him balancing.
Esse jogo aí se beneficia com o Game Pass, mano. Porque quem compraria um jogo desse aí, mano?
From this stance, you can also start tricking just as in normal riding. So for the trick system, we're trying to give as much control as possible to any trick you've seen in a movie or any crazy trick that you can imagine, while still making it look great. Every grab you can do, you can also tweak it out with the board stick. So for a really big spin, you have to get the timing down in the takeoff. And while you're in there, you keep your body tight, so you keep spinning at that high rate. And then it's just a matter of putting down your feet when it's time to land. When we succeed, it looks very simple and natural. So that is what we're trying to achieve, a really fun snowboard game.
A new day is upon us. A new generation built to fight. Together, we are unstoppable. Are you ready?
Killing spree. Double kill.
Hello, let's do some damage. Skewer acquired.
Grapple jack.
Claim the enemy flag. Return it to base.
Do Xbox eu vou começar a campanha já. Do Play meu jogo não chegou ainda. Eu tenho que pegar DLC também.
The flag is ours. Please call at your earliest convenience.
Now, show me what you can do.
Epic Campaign. Olha lá, se não for épico.
I am so excited to have Tom, Alex, and Quinn from 343 Industries. Gentlemen, thank you for being here.
Thanks for having us.
Now, I've watched this multiplayer trailer numerous times, and I want to see some specific moments from it so we can break it down. So can we roll the trailer to 15 seconds in, and let's talk about a new character.
A new day is upon us. A new generation built to fight.
Mas vai repetir o trailer de novo.
We are unstoppable. Are you ready?
All right, now who is this character? She looks like she's in charge.
Your senses are right there. She's very much in charge. That's Commander Lorette. She's in charge of the Spartan Academy, which is the kind of contextual wrapper that the whole multiplayer universe lives in. She is basically training the new generation of Spartans to, you know, become better, and that's really where everything wraps around. I really love this character, and then what's cool is not only is it kind of the contextual wrapper
eu vou
for the
jogar,
game, but
mas
also we have a whole suite of
foda
academy
essas
features, we
coisas
call
que
them.
é meio fora
There's a
do
tutorial that teaches the
de
players the
ordem, né,
fundamental basics of
acontece.
the game. There's weapon drills that let you practice with every weapon that exists in the game and improve your skills with those. And then there's a whole thing we call training mode, which lets you play against bots on any map, basically, in the game, and lets you experiment with the toys and kind of learn the flows of everything. So we really want to bring players on board with the game, and again, under her orders and her charge.
Now, I want to go to 50 seconds in the trailer because there was a lot of action going on, and I want to check that out.
No scope. Big shot. Killing spree.
Now, you may have noticed I sat up in my chair a little bit on that one because there was a lot going on there. So please, if you can break that down, let me know what we were seeing.
There's a lot to break down. I don't know if we got enough time to get all the way into it. But some of the things that I really love when I look at that trailer is that first sequence where the player, they have the bulldog shotgun, they're running through, shotgunning enemies. They grab the commando off the rack, put some shots in, low sensor. Like, there's all sorts of different things that the player is interacting with, and that's the sandbox. That's what we call the sandbox, the toys that is at the disposal for a player's hands. And we just really love that moment in the trailer where they have the grapple shot, they look up, grapple the ceiling, and then in midair, no scope snipe an enemy, come all the way down, back whack a foe, and then the rest is history as you just see what happened in that trailer. But that's just some of the stuff that players can do, and that's actually the game. That's not just a movie for cinematic experience. Like, that is the game that if players are good enough, put in time, they can actually do the things that you see in that trailer.
Yeah, and few things are more important to Halo multiplayer than like interacting with the sandbox and combining it, picking it up off the map and combining it into awesome play styles. So what we did was every sandbox item in the game, when it spawns, it's spawning on an object in the map, so you can see where those things can be found. And then it also tells you the respawn time of that item, when it's going to come back. And you always know, I can go grab that commando over at this spot like that guy did. So, and then when the players, you know, accrue all those awesome items and do awesome things, you know, you heard the return of Jeff Steitzer, the multiplayer announcer, shouting out medals. So we always want to give players medals when they do really cool things. So you heard some there, and you'll hear some later on in the trailer.
That's awesome. See, when I watch that, to me, that's Halo. That's Halo to me. I absolutely love that. Now, let's skip ahead a little bit more into the trailer to 57 seconds. I heard a voice, so I want to know what this voice is. Let's see it.
Hello, let's do some damage.
Yeah, so that is the player's personal AI. So in Halo 5, there was a squad leader that announced, you know, when weapons are going to come up and other things going on in the match. And in Infinite, we have the player, like Chief has Cortana, they have a personal AI in their helmet that is kind of telling them these things. And it's also another way that players can show their personality in their characters. So there's multiple personalities and characters for the player to choose, so that the right AI is in their helmet, helping them out in combat.
I want to skip ahead a little further here because I think I might have saw a big team battle. So let's go to a minute 40 and check that out.
Skewer acquired.
Grapple check.
Claim the enemy flag. Return it to base. Ordnance drop inbound. The flag is ours. Please call at your earliest convenience.
That looked like Big Team Battle to me. What's coming new? What are we going to do in Big Team Battle in Infinite?
I mean, it's not even just that. I mean, it actually opens with actually a 4v4 with a vehicles map called Behemoth at the beginning. So we actually are bringing vehicles back into the 4v4 arena. But then, yes, it definitely transitions into the 12v12 actually BTB part of the game, where we're actually making it a bigger team battle this time, really wanting to index into the battle fantasy with the more players. Instead of like vehicles just spawning around the map, we have pelicans drop them off. We have ordnance pods that drop in new weapons. And inside of that whole time, you have the battle commander, Lorette, talking in your ear, giving you orders and trying to kind of encourage you to play around, but really just bringing the whole sandbox and the play style around this whole battle experience that we're building.
Yeah, Tom brings up some good points there of Commander Lorette, and you've got your commander on the comms, and then you've got the pelicans dropping vehicles and items off. You got drop pods, everything. It just is like this theater of war. That this time around, it is this 12v12 bigger team battle, if you will. And just that ending segment, which is like a capture the flag match, is just so beautiful and awesome, where you've got the Pelican drop the Banshee off, teams fight over it. You and your teammate are just making a beeline for the Banshee. Your teammate gets picked off by the sniper, and you're like, oh no, and then you get the skewer, take that sniper out, jump into the Banshee, and you hit the jets and fly up into the sky and go for the enemy flag. That to us is what is so exciting about this version of Big Team Battle, with all of the toys, all the vehicles, the modes coming back, the maps, the brand new maps that you see there. I mean, it's going to be an amazing experience.
Yeah, trust me, I cannot wait to get my hands on it for myself. But let's move on. I want to go to 208 in the trailer, because I think I saw a samurai. So let's check that out. Let's go to 208 in the trailer.
Show me what you can do.
Okay, so I guess next will be a ninja, because that was definitely a samurai. So kind of talk about that. So we're going to start seeing some more customization with the armor coming in Infinite?
I mean, that is a samurai Spartan armor. Yeah. And so it'll be an armor you'll be able to unlock for free in the first season, which is super cool. Players will be able to equip it, gain more armor pieces and customization options for it, et cetera, across the season. And then we actually have more of this stuff kind of coming down the line. There's actually some really cool ideas that we're seeing in that our team that's building that stuff. So there'll be a lot of other cool armors besides just the really core Halo Spartan armors. There'll be some other different kind of twists and things for players to play with.
Awesome. Look, now before we get out of here, first of all, I want to thank all of you for being here to talk about Halo Infinite. I'm excited. I can't wait to get my hands on it and play it. But before we do leave, is there anything else that you want to bring up and let fans out there know about?
Well, I'm excited for people to actually get their hands on it, like yourself. So, I mean, if people sign up on our Halo's Insiders program, we have in the summer, we have a technical preview that we're going to be launching, and so people to finally put their hands on the sticks. And I'm just really excited for players to actually finally get to play the game we're working on.
Yeah, and then on launch day, Halo Infinite Multiplayer is free to play, which is new to the franchise. The team is super excited to hopefully bring in, all sorts of fans that have potentially never experienced the franchise or haven't played it in a long time to just try it out. Come in and try it out with your friends.
Me, with my buddies, if I have some friends out there that haven't played Halo before, I'm like, well, it's free. Just come on. Let's jump in, download it. Let's check it out. And if it's for you, it's for you.
Eu acho que vai ser separado mesmo online do campanha. Vai ser 2 pacotes, que nem o Crackdown foi.
Big key of that point is PC, right? Like this is a PC game as well. We've been putting a lot of effort into that. So not only is it going to be console, but also PC, free to play. Like the barrier to entry is so low, and that has us excited. And I think as we really to really think about it, is we've been working on this game, and as developers, when you work on a game, you want to get that game out there, and that almost seems like for us that's the finish line, but in reality, it's going to be the starting line for all of us, for us and the Halo fans. Day one, there's going to be a bunch of content there and things that are exciting and good, but then we're going to add more content. We're going to add more maps. We're going to add more modes and weapons and vehicles, equipment items. And it's just the beginning of this whole journey that we've been on for a while, and we're going to take everyone else with us as the game comes out.
I'm excited. Gentlemen, again, thank you so much. Now, for fans who want to learn even more about Halo Infinite multiplayer, check out the brand new deep dive video with the whole multiplayer team over on HaloWaypoint.com. And allow me to give a big thanks to everyone who's joined us today. Whether you play your favorite games on Xbox, PC, or Game Pass, the next 12 months will be nothing short of spectacular. It has been my absolute honor to be your host.
Pô, Kojima faltou de novo, velho. Kojima é foda, hein?
Before I go, here's a gameplay deep dive from the team behind the highly anticipated Scarlet Nexus.
Scarlet Nexus. Esse aí parece ser legalzinho também.
世界観を表現した世界観が収められたものになってます。で、見た目ビジュアルのこのスカーレットネクサスのビジュアルの特徴だとか、あとはキャラクターの見た目だとか、さまざまなルックスについてこのクリップでは紹介しようと思ってます。はい、この都市はこの世界の中では一番大きな都市というふうに紹介されています。ここはスオという都市で、このゲームの中心になる場所です。でこのスオの都市の見た目のインスピレーションは東京の景色と日本の90年代の景色をイメージしてます。ユニークなビジュアル部分っていうのはいくらかあると思うんですけれど、あと今回はセルシェーディングとリアリスティックな背景を合成するような見た目を選んでいるんですけれど、それはまず密度感を表現したいからというのが一つありました。であともう一つはそのセルシェーディングのキャラクターとリアリスティックな映像が混ざることによってまたそこでも異質な見た目、ちょっと面白い見た目にならないかなっていうのも模索しました。でただ単にセルシェーディングのキャラクターをリアリスティックな背景に置いてしまうとすごく浮いてしまって見た目が変になってしまうっていうのを懸念してたんですけれど、うまくそこを混ざるように工夫したっていうのが今回の苦労した点の一つではあります。で例えば今映像の中で東京タワーが映ってると思うんですけれど、これは日本では有名なランドマークで海外の人も見たことがあるかもしれないものと思うんですけど、その東京タワーがものすごく大きなサイズになっていて、これ3000メートル富士山と同じぐらいサイズがあるんですけど、それだけ大きなもの本当はそんなサイズない333メートルの東京タワーをそれだけ大きくすることによってちょっとおかしい異質な景色みたいのを作りたいっていうのがありました。そのさっき東京の都市をいろいろと混ぜるみたいな話をしたと思うんですけれど、それというのもその僕たちも知ってる街なんだけれどちょっとおかしいみたいなそういった異質さを出したいっていうのがありまして、なので東京タワーも僕たちは知ってるものだけどすごく大きなこんな大きなサイズじゃないんだけどこういったものがこの街の中にあるってことで何かちょっと変な場所だなっていうふうに思ってほしいっていうのがありました。で大きな桜の木というのは日本を代表する桜の木なんですけど、それがあまりにも大きなサイズになっていて、これもさっきの東京タワーと同じで異質さを感じてほしいと思ってやっていることです。でこれが本作の特徴となる怪異という主人公たちに立ちはだかる敵なんですけれど、この見た目については私はその新規 IP、 新しい IP の新しいクリーチャーということで変わった見た目、何か興味を引く見た目にしたいというのが一つありました。でその上で私たちの感覚とは違うものを取り入れたいというのがきっかけにありまして、実際にアーティストの力を借りてこの怪異のデザインを再現しています。でそのアーティストの表現というのはその美しさがありながらもその死の世界だとかそのネガティブなイメージとポジティブなイメージを一つにしたような幻想的な表現をする作家の方なんですけれど、また彼らの動きについてこだわっているのは私たちの知っているような生き物でありそうである生き物のようであって私たちと違うものだというのを表現したいことがあったので、動きの中に一見動物のようで急に違うような動きをするだとか人間のようでいて人間と違うような動きをするだとか、そんなモーションを取り込んでます。なのでモーションを作る時には人間っぽい部分だけはモーションキャプチャーを使ってるんですけど、そうでない部分は手付けなどにしてその人間の動きとそうでない動きをミックスさせることで不思議な動きにできないかなというのを考えていました。
はい、共に新入隊員として入隊したキャラクターが2人いるというところで、同じ時系列から始まって、ただその同じ境遇に置かれている一つの物語をそれぞれの視点から描いていく。でそれぞれ視点で描くことで、
Eu acho que eu vou jogar Max Payne à noite mesmo.
片方の視点では見えなかった状況と
Aí amanhã à tarde eu jogo
別の視点では
bug coletável lá e boa.
そういうストーリーの楽しみ方を皆さんに提供したいと思って、今回2人の主人公を用意しました。そして1人目がこちらですね、ゆいとすめらぎキャラクターですね。彼はですね、非常に正義感が強くて、幼い頃に貝飛ばすぐに自分が貝から救われたっていう経験を持っていて、でその経験から自らも貝飛ばすぐに志願して入隊したっていうキャラクターになっています。はい、そしてもう一人がこちらのカサネランドールですね。はい、彼女はですね、非常に優れた超能力を持っている、もうエリートと呼ばれるキャラクターですね。海討伐軍からもスカウトして入隊した非常に優秀なキャラクターです。左側がですね、この重ねの視点ですね。で右側がユイトの視点でのイベントシーンになっていきますが、今重ねの視点でご覧いただいた通り、ちょっとユイトの姿が見えたりとかしています。
Mas é a bucezinha de selfie, galera.
一緒に同行しているキャラクター、このキャラクターが実は未来予知の能力を持っているキャラクターで、ちょっとこのユイトたちがやられそうだなっていうのはちょっと分かるようなシーンになっています。この頃ユイトの方は今止めてますけど、これはユイトの方では入らずに次のシーンに進んでいきます。という形で、進んでいくと、こういうふうに貝が降ってきて、同じような状況に置かれてしまう。ユイトの方ではこういうふうになってるんだなっていうのは分からずに進んでいきますが、重ねの方ではやっぱりそうなったかっていう形で物語が進行していきます。こういうふうに同じ一つのシーンでもですね、それぞれがつながりを持って感じられる、そういうふうなストーリーラインを作ろうとして、今回のこの企画から今発売までっていうところで、もうほぼ4年以上かかってるんですけれども、このストーリーラインというところももちろん企画の最初から作ってはいるんですけど、非常に多くの時間を要していて、もうこの2人のこのストーリー緻密にこういうふうに絡み合ったつながりを持った一つのストーリーとして完成させるまでに、やはり2年から3年の歳月を要しております。であとはですね、アクションの部分に関しても、開発チームとすごく議論して決めてまして、特にこの念力アクションもどういうふうな念力を使えたら皆さんが分かりやすく直感的に気持ちよくなってもらえるかっていうところは、非常に開発の中でもですね、議論を重ねてできてきた部分がありますので、この念力を使うユイトと重ねのこのストーリーですね、物語っていうのをぜひ楽しんでもらえればと思います。
はい、本作はですね、もともと僕がサイボーグ009とかいろんなキャラクターがいろんな能力を使って戦う集団っていうものが大好きで、そういういろんな能力を使う集団を改めてゲーム化したいっていう思いで企画を立ち上げました。あとサイキックアクションのもう一つの主軸としてSAS というものがあります。正式名称はストラグルアームズシステムというんですけど、仲間キャラクターから超能力を借り受けるシステムですね。脳を接続して仲間キャラクターから超能力を借り受けることで、いろんな超能力をユイトと重ねは使えるようになります。今画面上では放電の超能力を今使おうとしてるんですけど、放電の超能力だけに限らず、瞬間移動とか透明化とか、ポピュラーで誰しもが一度は使ってみたいっていう超能力を選定してます。本作のキーワードとして赤い線っていうものがあるんですけど、サスを使った時に赤いケーブルが背中に刺さって戦うことができますの。そうですね、サスケーブルデザインする時にそうですね、見た人の印象に残ってインパクトに残したいってことがまずあったんですよね。でそういった時見た時に過去タイトル見た時に、例えばキングゲイナーの刺さってるケーブルだったりとか、あとはそうですね、日本のアニメのガンツなんかもケーブルが刺さって戦う様っていうところがすごくクールだったので、そのあたりはインスパイアされながらデザインっていうものを進めた経緯がありますね。 はい、本作ですね、念力で戦うんですけど、単純に投げ飛ばすだけじゃなくて、このロケーションに置いてあるオブジェクトをいろいろ活用することができます。今工事現場にあるので、工事現場のロケーションなのでダンプを上から落としたんですけど、そのようにそのロケーションに合ったそのオブジェクトを、自分なりに扱うことができるってところが、はい、ここはそうですね、ドラム缶の中から水を出してその貝を水浸しにしてます。でその後サスの放電で戦うことで水浸しになった貝を電気でしびれさせるということもできるので、超能力念力とそのサスを組み合わせて戦うというところが一つ特徴となっております。しっかり遊びたい人もカジュアルに遊びたい人も幅広く楽しめるものとなっております。はい、プレイヤーはですね、このようにブレインフィールドっていうね、特別な必殺技を使うことができます。これはですね、海抜軍が使うことができる近畿の技で非常に強力なんですけど、同時に非常に危険な技でもあります。ユートと重ねが展開することでオブジェクトが空間内に浮き上がって念力は使い放題になるんですけど、一方で非常に強い負荷が脳にかかってしまいますね。なので自分の言動がちょっとおかしなことを言ってしまったりとか、あとは聞こえないノイズのような幻聴が聞こえたりとか、あとこのように途中で頭抱えて動けなくなったりとか、そういうことがあります。で加えてですね、この残り時間の秒数があるんですけど、これが制限時間が過ぎるとゲームオーバーになってしまうっていう非常に危険な技になっております。はい、なんだけど非常に危険な技なんですけど、それをうまく使いこなして戦う自分がかっこいいっていう風な思いをプレイヤーに感じ取ってもらいたいなと思っております。あとブレインフィールド発動したらフードをかぶってたくさんケーブルが刺さった異様な姿になるかなと思うんですけど、これもダークヒーローっぽいかっこよさがすごく危険な超能力を自分が扱って戦ってるってところを感じ取ってもらいたくて、このようなデザインにしております。はい、こちらブレインマップと呼ばれるシステムになりますね。こちらはプレイヤーが成長するスキルツリーとなっております。
Não é uma árvore de habilidade que nem no Pet of Exile, mas é ok.
デザインしたツリーを意識して作ってます。で今チャージがため攻撃ができるようになりましたね。このように能力を拡張して新たなアクション、この映像の中ではため攻撃で範囲攻撃をできるようになってるんですけど、そういったアクションの拡張だけじゃなくて念力ゲージが増加する強化系のスキルだったりとか、あとはアイテムを使用した後のクールタイムが短くなるような補助スキルとかさまざまないくつかのカテゴリーのスキルを習得することができるようになっています。で脳みそを脳神経を拡張していくようなデザインにこだわっててスキルを選択してボタンをホールドすることで神経が伸びていってどんどん脳神経が拡張していくような、そういう体験になることを意識してデザインしております。はい、ブレインマップ以外ですと基本的に通常のレベルアップで敵と戦って経験値を積むことで通常のレベルアップでパラメータが底上げされるっていうことに加えて仲間との絆ですね、仲間と絆形成することで絆の力が強くなると絆レベルというものが上がって仲間から買い受ける超能力っていうものが強力になってきます。ブレインマップと通常のレベルと、あとは仲間との絆を形成して成長させるってところが、この3つがこのゲームの成長システムになっております。このゲーム武器と念力の流れるようなコンビネーションってところが一つ特徴にしているんですけど、その流れるようなコンビネーションの体験ってところがシリーズ X だと 60fps で滑らかに体験できるので、その部分はすごくリッチな体験になってるなというふうに感じます。はい、開発チーム一同ねスタッフ個々が全力で携わったタイトルですのでぜひ楽しみにしていただけると嬉しいです。From my team and I, please enjoy Scarlet Nexus.
Tentou falar inglês ali. Thank you for watching. Acabou. Tá louco, Kojima furou mais uma, velho. Tá louco, Kojima tá foda. Também o Phil Spencer foi lá acertar o salário com ele. Na próxima, certeza. Esse jogo é meio que uma mistura de RPG com... sei lá. MMO. Bom, galerinha, eu vou finalizando aqui e daqui a pouco eu volto, ou não sei, não tenho certeza. Acho que eu vou fazer um pouquinho do Forza. Se eu não voltar, à noite eu tô aí. Tô pensando seriamente em fazer o Max Payne 3 já, começar a campanha no 360. Valeu, galera. Até mais tarde. Comi alguma coisa aqui. Se eu tinha essa tirisca, tô com sono, mano. Que porra é essa? Acabei de levantar agora há pouco.